The moon landing's big secret. What if humanity's greatest journey, stepping onto another world, wasn't real? It's a question whispered by many. Some believe the famous moon landing, those old black and white videos of astronauts bouncing on dusty ground, were actually filmed in a secret studio, right here on Earth. A huge, convincing show for the world. This idea that the moon landing was a hoax took root. People looked at photos, pointing to things like the flag seeming to wave, despite no wind, or the curious lack of stars. They wondered if it was all a clever government trick. At that time, two big countries were in a space race, desperate to prove who was more powerful. Some thought victory had to be shown, even if faked. Here's the thing about our minds. Sometimes, a simpler, more dramatic story feels better than a complex truth. Consider a rumor spreading at school. It's exciting, feels good to share, and might feel real even without proof. Or, think about a magic show. You know it's a trick, but your brain wants to believe the impossible secret behind the curtain. A big, hidden truth can be very compelling. But what if the real story is even more incredible? The true moon landing, with its science and brave astronauts, holds a different kind of wonder. It reminds us that human beings, through great effort, can achieve what seems impossible. It invites us to look deeper, not just at easy answers, but at the facts and the amazing human spirit involved. Perhaps the real secret isn't a lie, but the profound truth that our capacity for exploration is boundless. That is a powerful feeling. Was JFK shot by more than one gun? When something truly shocking happens, like the sudden loss of a leader, our minds often search for answers, sometimes beyond what's immediately clear. For many, the question still lingers: was President John F. Kennedy shot by more than one gun? The official story, the one most people know, says just one person, Lee Harvey Oswald, was responsible. He was supposed to have fired from a building above. But right away, many people started asking, could that really be it? They looked hard at the Zapruder film, a home movie someone took that day. What it showed made them wonder if bullets came from more than one place. It's like when a really big, painful thing happens, something so huge that a simple answer just doesn't feel right. Sometimes, we search for bigger, more complicated reasons. It's almost like our minds need a huge explanation for a tragedy so unbelievably sad. Think about a magic trick you see. Your brain knows it's not actually magic, but you just can't figure out how they did it, right? You might play it over in your mind, trying to spot the hidden string or mirror. Or, imagine a big event at school, and everyone who saw it has a slightly different story. I saw it this way, someone says, and someone else is sure, no, it was like this. It's hard to get everyone to agree, especially when things happen super fast, or when the real answer seems too plain for something so important. So, the idea of more than one shooter isn't just about bullets or angles, it's also about how we deal with big hurts and confusion. It's about how much we need things to make sense, even when the world feels messy and wild. It's about how one moment can leave long shadows, making us wonder what's truly real. And it makes us question if we really understand the big forces that shape our lives. Some mysteries, like a soft whisper on the wind, stay with us. They invite us to keep thinking, keep wondering. Maybe the full truth will always be just out of reach, forever a quiet part of our story as humans. Is our planet really flat? Have you ever looked out at the vastness of the horizon, maybe from a quiet beach or a high, windy hill, and just really wondered about the shape of the world beneath your feet? For centuries, many people believed our Earth was flat. Imagine that, a vast disk, with edges where ships might just tumble off into the unknown. It's a powerful image, isn't it? A world that felt finite, graspable. This idea wasn't born out of foolishness, but from what people could see with their own eyes. In times before advanced tools or long voyages, it felt true, because daily life seemed to confirm it. But then, over time, curious minds began to notice small, subtle clues that whispered a different story. Think about a ship sailing far from shore. You don't see it shrink evenly until it's a tiny dot. Instead, the hull, the bottom part, disappears first, then the masts, almost as if it's sinking over a gentle curve. Or consider the moon, high in the night sky. Sometimes, during a lunar eclipse, the Earth casts a shadow right onto the moon's surface. And what shape is that shadow? Always round. Not a flat line, not a jagged edge, but a soft curve. These patient observations, gathered little by little, began to paint a new picture. It's a bit like looking at a very large ball up close. If you only look at a small part of its surface, it seems flat. But if you step back, take in the whole thing, suddenly its roundness becomes clear. Our world is so immense, so vast, that its curve isn't obvious when you're just standing on. It takes a shift in perspective, a willingness to see beyond what feels obvious at first glance. And that's the beautiful thing about understanding. It grows, it evolves. It asks us to be brave enough to question and humble enough to learn, even if it means changing what we thought we knew about the ground beneath our feet or the stars above our heads. It reminds us that truth is often more wonderfully complex and beautiful than our first, simple guesses. Aliens in Area 51's shadows. Have you ever looked at the vast, dark canvas of the night sky and wondered what else might be out there? It's a question as old as humanity. For decades, a certain place in the Nevada desert, called Area 51, has quietly sat at the center of this big question. It's a place shrouded in so much secrecy. It sparked one of the most lasting mysteries of our time, the belief that the government is hiding proof of aliens and their spacecraft there. Here's the thing. After a supposed UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico, back in the 1940s, stories began to whisper. People wondered if the wreckage, and even alien bodies, were secretly moved to this remote base. The government said it was just a weather balloon, but that only made the whispers louder. When something is kept truly secret, our minds tend to fill in the blanks, often with the most exciting possibilities. It's like when a friend tells you they have a big secret, but they can't tell you what it is. Suddenly, your imagination starts to work overtime, picturing all sorts of wild and amazing things, even if the truth might be much simpler. For many, Area 51 became a symbol of hidden truths, a place where the unknown danced with the unbelievable. It made people think about what secrets governments might keep from us, and what incredible discoveries might be just out of reach. This belief isn't just about aliens. It's about our deep human longing for something more, something mysterious beyond our everyday world. It taps into our curiosity, our hope that the universe is even bigger and stranger than we can imagine. And so, the stories of aliens in Area 51's shadows continue to live on, fueled by a desire for wonder, and by the powerful, endless reach of our own imagination. The Titanic, an inside job. Could something so grand, so legendary, really just disappear into the icy depths by accident? We all know the story of the Titanic, the unsinkable ship that met its tragic end on a cold April night. But here's the thing, for some, a simple iceberg isn't enough to explain such a huge disaster. Imagine a puzzle where a piece seems forced, not quite right. The idea emerged that the Titanic's sinking wasn't an accident. Instead, it was planned. Some believe it wasn't even the Titanic that sank, but its identical sister ship, the Olympic, secretly switched for insurance money. This theory often adds a layer. Powerful people, perhaps those who opposed certain financial plans, were deliberately removed. It paints a picture of hidden motives and vast sums of money. It's hard for our minds to accept that huge, terrible events can happen just by chance. Think about when your phone suddenly breaks. You might wonder, was it designed to fail? It's easier to think there's a secret reason, a hidden hand, than to just face the raw, unchosen randomness of life. We want answers, and sometimes, if the truth feels too simple, our minds search for a story that offers more meaning, even if it's made from whispers and guesses. The Titanic conspiracy isn't just about a ship. It's about how we try to understand a world that often feels beyond our control. It's about the human heart, trying to find meaning when immense loss occurs. Sometimes, meaning comes from believing in a deeper, more complicated story, even if it makes us wonder if the biggest tragedies aren't accidents at all. It reminds us that the stories we choose to believe about the past often reveal more about our own fears today. Are we living in a simulation? Have you ever stopped, really stopped, and wondered if the world around you is truly real? Imagine, for a moment, that everything you see, touch, and hear, the sunlight on your face, the sound of birds, the feeling of the ground beneath your feet, is just a made-up picture, like a super-detailed dream or a complex scene in a video game. This deep idea that our entire existence might be a huge computer simulation has been whispered through history in different forms, long before we even had computers. Ancient thinkers, like a wise philosopher named Plato, from long ago Greece, asked similar questions. He told a story about people chained in a cave, only ever seeing shadows cast on a wall. To them, those shadows were everything, the only reality. They didn't know a whole vibrant world existed outside, creating those fleeting shapes. Much later, another thinker, Descartes, famously pondered if we could ever truly be sure we weren't just dreaming all the time, or if some powerful unseen force was subtly fooling us about reality itself. Here's the thing. Think about a video game you play, one with amazing graphics and characters that seem almost alive. You know it's not real, but within the game, the characters act like their world is totally solid. What if our world is like that, but on a scale so vast it's hard to even imagine? It's like we are characters in this enormous, beautifully programmed experience, without realizing the player or programmer is outside looking in. This isn't about secret plots or alien invasions. It's a question about the very nature of everything we know. This thought can feel a little strange, maybe even a bit unsettling, but it's also full of wonder. It invites us to look closer at the ordinary, to find the extraordinary in simple things. It doesn't mean your life isn't meaningful, or that the joy you feel isn't true. Instead, it gently opens your mind to the incredible mystery of existence itself. It encourages a quiet curiosity, a feeling that there might be so much more to reality than what our everyday senses show us, making the world, whatever it is, feel even more profound. Bigfoot, just a tall tale. Deep in the shadowed whispers of old forests, a quiet question lingers, doesn't it? Is there really a giant ape-like creature, known as Bigfoot or Sasquatch, hidden away from human eyes? For generations, people have shared tales, blurry photos, and strange footprints, all hinting at something massive and mysterious, walking on 2 feet through the wilderness. They say it's a creature of myths, yet many believe it's real. Here's the thing about stories like this. They often grow in places where the unknown still stretches out before us. Before cameras could map every inch of the earth, our world felt bigger, wilder. There was more room for things we couldn't explain, and maybe, in our hearts, we still want a little bit of that wildness. We want to think there's still something truly mysterious out there, something science hasn't fully figured out. Think about a time you've been out in nature, maybe camping. The trees are tall, and shadows play tricks. You hear a snap, a rustle. For a split second, your mind jumps to something big, something hidden. Maybe it's just a squirrel, or the wind. But for that moment, your imagination creates a story. That feeling, that desire for wonder and the unknown, is a deep part of us. We love the idea that not everything has been found. So, is Bigfoot real? Maybe not in the way we usually think. But here's what I found. Bigfoot, the legend, the idea, is very real in our minds. It reminds us to stay curious, to look closely, and to never lose that sense of wonder about the world. It's a whisper that there's still magic, still mystery, even in the most familiar forests. It helps us remember that some puzzles are beautiful just because they're unsolved. The Loch Ness Monster's hidden depths. Have you ever stared into dark, deep water and wondered what might be swimming just out of sight? What hidden things could be moving in the shadows? Things we can't quite prove are there, but still feel like they could be. For centuries, a whisper has echoed from the cold, murky depths of a Scottish lake. The Loch Ness Monster, Nessie, as she's often called, is a creature many believe lives there. People claim to see a long neck, a humped back, a dark shape vanishing. Blurry pictures hint at something ancient and unknown. This isn't just a story, it's a conspiracy. People talk about because it touches something deep inside us. It's about the unknown, about wanting to believe there's more than what science explains. It asks us, what if? This is a powerful question. For a long time, humans have looked at wild places and imagined impossible creatures. It's part of our nature to seek wonder, to dream beyond everyday life. Think about seeing a shadow or a coat in a dark room. For a second, your mind makes it into something else. A person, an animal. Your imagination takes over. That's a bit like the Loch Ness Monster. We see something fleeting, maybe a wave or a log, and our hope, our desire for magic, paints it into something much bigger, more mysterious. It's the feeling of longing for the extraordinary. Maybe the real magic of Nessie isn't whether she exists. Maybe it's that she keeps us looking, keeps us curious about the edges of what we know. She reminds us there's still wonder out there, if we only keep our minds open to possibilities. It's okay to wonder. It's okay to feel that pull towards the mysterious, because that pull makes us truly human, always reaching for the unseen. The truth about chemtrails in the sky. Have you ever gazed up at the wide, open sky and seen those long, white lines stretching across it, like delicate brushstrokes on a vast blue canvas? Some people see these lines and wonder if there's something secret, sprayed on purpose by planes, maybe even chemicals changing our world. They call them chemtrails, but here's the truth. Most of what we see up there, those white trails, are really just contrails. Think of it like this. When a plane flies super high, its engines are very hot. They push out exhaust, and that exhaust has water vapor in it. Up in the very cold air of the upper sky, that warm, wet vapor hits the freezing cold and instantly turns into tiny ice crystals. It's like when you breathe out on a super cold morning and you see your breath. That white puff isn't chemicals. It's just water. Contrails are simply clouds made by planes, visible only when conditions are right. For a long time, humans have looked at the sky and felt a deep sense of mystery. Before science could explain things like rain or lightning, people made up stories. They tried to make sense of powerful, sometimes scary, events. It's a natural thing to do, to look for a hidden plan behind things we don't fully understand. Sometimes, when we're confused by the unknown, our minds can connect dots that aren't truly there. We might see patterns, even in random clouds. But when we learn how things truly work, like how simple physics creates those beautiful temporary lines across the blue sky, it's not scary anymore. Instead, it becomes another quiet wonder of our natural world, a gentle reminder that even big mysteries often have simple, beautiful explanations, disappearing slowly, like a whispered secret dissolving into the endless air. The Illuminati who pulls the strings. Have you ever looked at the world, all its big events and secret whispers, and wondered who truly makes the decisions? Who holds the power, even if we can't see them? This is where the idea of the Illuminati comes in, like a shadow in history, a story that has stretched across centuries. Here's the thing about the Illuminati. It was a real group once, long ago, back in the 1700s, in a place called Bavaria, which is now part of Germany. They were a small club of smart thinkers who wanted to change the world. They believed in reason and wanted to push back against kings and old, unfair rules. But their group didn't last very long. It fell apart, and the people in charge at the time didn't like secret societies. So, the original Illuminati faded away, but the idea of them never really died. It grew, twisting into this powerful belief that a secret group, hidden in the shadows, is always behind everything, that they're pulling strings, making big plans, and shaping our lives without us even knowing. Think about a giant stage play, with many actors moving and speaking. You see them, you hear their lines, and it feels like they're making all the choices. But backstage, unseen, there's a director. That director makes all the big decisions: where the actors stand, how they speak, what the whole story means. You don't see the director during the show, but their choices guide every single moment. The Illuminati, in our minds, is like that. Hidden director for the world. So, the story of the Illuminati isn't just about a group that existed. It's about a very human feeling, the quiet worry that maybe we're not fully in control, that there's a deeper game being played. It's about our yearning to understand the hidden patterns, to feel like we truly know who is guiding the show. And that's why, even today, the whisper of the Illuminati keeps us wondering, makes us pause, and asks us to think about who holds the real power and what that truly means for us. Denver Airport's creepy art clues. Have you ever looked at a painting and felt like it was trying to tell you a secret? Like a whisper hidden in the colors or shapes, waiting for you to find it. This deep curiosity, this urge to see beneath the surface, is a powerful human feeling. It's what draws many people to the art at Denver International Airport. The airport has some truly unforgettable art. There are huge murals showing strange, dreamlike scenes, and a giant blue horse statue with glowing red eyes. To some, these are just unique pieces, but to others, they seem like clues, whispers of a deeper, unsettling story. People believe these artworks hide messages about secret societies, or even the end of the world. They point to specific symbols and figures, connecting them to old prophecies or mysterious groups. Humans have long tried to find special meaning in symbols. Think about ancient cave drawings, or secret signs used by groups centuries ago. We use symbols to share ideas, but also to hint at things, or keep secrets. It's part of how our minds work. we naturally look for patterns. Sometimes we see faces in clouds or hear a tune in random sounds. Our brains are wired to connect dots, even when they might not truly be there, and that's why this airport art is so fascinating. It gives our minds something to puzzle over. It lets our imaginations soar, wondering about hidden truths. Mystery isn't always scary. Sometimes it's just a space for our own thoughts to explore. It makes us ask questions, and that curiosity, that desire to look deeper, can be a beautiful thing, even if the only secret we find is the wonder inside our own minds. The Bermuda Triangle's vanishing acts. Have you ever wondered about places where the world seems to hold its breath, and things just vanish? For centuries, sailors and pilots have whispered tales of a mysterious stretch of ocean, often called the Bermuda Triangle. It's a vast area in the Atlantic, connecting Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico, and it's become famous for the strange ways ships and planes seem to disappear without a trace. Here's the thing, the stories are many, stretching back decades, of vessels and aircraft heading out into the clear blue, then simply never being seen again. It makes us pause and wonder, doesn't it? Our minds naturally seek patterns, even in chaos. When something unexplained happens, we look for a hidden reason, something beyond the usual. This search for answers, for something grander than simple error or bad weather, is a very human thing. Think about it like this. Sometimes, you might lose something important, your favorite hoodie, or a homework assignment. You search everywhere, getting more and more confused. It seems to have just vanished, but usually, after a lot of searching, you find it in the most ordinary place, like folded under a pile of clothes, or tucked inside a book. The mystery wasn't a monster, but just a simple With the Bermuda Triangle, many of the disappearances also have very plain, real-world explanations, like violent storms, tricky currents, or even just human mistakes. The ocean is vast and powerful, capable of swallowing anything, and yet, the idea of a place where things truly vanish, where the rules of our world bend, holds a deep fascination. Maybe it's not about finding a single, magical answer, but about the quiet wonder of the unknown. It reminds us that even in a world full of maps and satellites, some mysteries still shimmer just beyond our reach, inviting us to look a little closer and to feel a little more. Vaccinations, more than just medicine. Have you ever stopped to think about a tiny needle, a vaccine, as more than just a quick prick in your arm? What if it's not just a shot, but a silent conversation between our bodies and the history of disease? Here's the thing, a vaccine is like a friendly whisper to your body's defenses. It introduces a very small, harmless part of a germ, or a weakened version of it. This isn't to make you sick, but to teach your immune system how to recognize and fight off the real enemy later. It's like a practice drill, a gentle warning, so your body is ready if the actual threat appears. For hundreds of years, before vaccines, sickness was a terrifying shadow. Diseases like smallpox swept through villages, stealing lives, especially those of children. Imagine living in a time when a common illness could mean endless sorrow. People dreamed of a way to protect themselves, to build a shield against the invisible invaders. They started to wonder, what if a tiny piece of the danger could actually make us stronger? This was a huge step, not just in science, but in how we thought about life and death. It was about trying to outsmart nature, to bring light into the darkest corners of human suffering. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. At first, you might use training wheels, or someone holds onto the seat. You get a feel for balancing, for pedaling, without the full risk of falling hard. You're learning the moves in a safe way. A vaccine does something similar for your body. It lets your immune system practice fighting a pretend germ, building up its strength and memory, so it's ready and powerful when a real, dangerous germ comes along too. When we talk about vaccines, we're not just talking about chemistry or medicine. We're touching on something much deeper. Each vaccine holds the quiet hope of countless generations for a healthier world. It carries the weight of the past's struggles and the bright promise of shared protection. It asks us to consider what it means to care for each other, to trust, in a tiny act that ripples out to protect everyone around us. It's a quiet reflection on our place in the world, and our shared journey toward well-being. The missing Malaysian flight's puzzle. Have you ever felt that strange chill when something just vanishes? Not like a lost key, but something huge, something that leaves a gaping hole in the world. Here's the thing, sometimes, in our modern age, things disappear without a trace, And when they do, our minds start to fill the quiet with questions, searching for answers that might never come. Think about Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. This was a giant airplane, carrying hundreds of people. One moment, on March 8, 2014, it was flying across the sky, a metal bird with lives inside. The next, it was just gone. It took off from Kuala Lumpur, headed for Beijing, but it never arrived. There was no distress call, no sudden burst of static, just silence. For years, the main parts of the plane stayed missing. It's like a whisper of a cloud that simply dissolved into the air, leaving behind only emptiness and a deep, unsettling, quiet dot. This can help you understand why we look for secret explanations. When something so big disappears, and there's no simple, clear reason, our brains struggle with that empty space. It's a bit like when you've lost your favorite sock. In the laundry, you search everywhere, under the bed, in the closet, you even shake out the other socks. You might even invent a tiny story for yourself. My dryer must have eaten it, or maybe it slipped into a secret portal. That's how our minds work when faced with the unknown on a grand scale. For centuries, humans have told stories to explain things they couldn't grasp: why the sun rises, why the rain falls. It's our way of trying to put order on chaos. The mystery of MH370 reminds us how fragile certainty can be. It's a quiet ache, a story unfinished, a reminder that some puzzles remain forever unsolved, floating somewhere just beyond our grasp, like a ghost in the vast, wide ocean. And that's why it matters. It shows us that even with all our technology, some secrets the world keeps to itself. Paul McCartney's secret swap. Have you ever looked at a picture, then looked again, wondering if something wasn't quite right? What if someone famous, known all over the world, suddenly seemed a little different, and a quiet whisper started spreading that they weren't really themselves at all? This is the heart of a story many still talk about, the idea that Paul McCartney, from the Beatles, secretly died in 1966 and was replaced by a look-alike. It's a strange thought, isn't it? The rumor suggests that after a car crash, the real Paul was gone, and a double stepped in to keep the Beatles' magic alive. Fans began searching for hidden messages, clues supposedly left by the band in their songs and album covers. They'd point to a line played backward in a song, or a symbol in an album photo, believing these were secret hints proving the swap. It was like a giant, worldwide treasure hunt for a dark truth. This kind of thinking, where we look for secret patterns or hidden signs, has been with us for a long time. Our brains are wired to find connections, to make sense of things, even when there might not be any real pattern there. Think about how you might see an animal shape in the clouds, or how a series of small coincidences can start to feel like a big, planned event. We want to believe there's a deeper story, a reason behind what we see. That the Paul is dead theory isn't about proving a fact. It's more about how much we crave meaning, how we can build entire narratives from small details, especially when those details involve something as beloved as the Beatles. It shows how powerful a story can be, how it can grow and change, passed from person to person, finding new believers with every telling. And so, the legend of a secret swap lives on, not because it's true, but because it taps into our endless wonder about what might be hidden just beneath the surface. Elvis Presley, still alive somewhere. Have you ever wondered if someone truly famous, someone who changed the world, could just disappear? And then, years later, whispers start. Whispers that they aren't gone at all, but living quietly, away from the bright lights. For Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, these whispers have never really stopped. When Elvis died suddenly in 1977, it felt impossible to many. His voice, his energy, his presence, it was all so huge. It's hard for us to accept when something so vibrant simply ends. And here's the thing about our minds and our hearts. We don't always like sudden goodbyes, especially to people who have touched us deeply. So, stories began. People said they saw him. They said he faked his death to escape the pressure, to find peace. This isn't just about Elvis. Think about how we keep stories alive. Like when you love a character in a book or a movie so much, and even after the story ends, you imagine them still going on adventures, or you wish they hadn't really died in the plot. That wish, that strong feeling, helps build a legend. For thousands of years, people have created myths about heroes who never truly leave us, who might return when we need them most. It's a way our minds deal with loss and keep hope burning. So when we hear someone say Elvis is still alive, maybe it's less about a secret house in a faraway place, and more about how much his music and his spirit still live inside us. Maybe it's about how a true legend never really fades from our minds. The energy he brought, the songs he sang, the way he made people feel, that part of him is definitely still here, alive in every strum of a guitar and every beat of a heart that loves his music, and in a way, that's what truly matters. Marilyn Monroe's unsolved mystery. Imagine a star, the brightest you can see in the night sky, suddenly dimming, then vanishing. That's a bit like the story of Marilyn Monroe, a name that still echoes with beauty and a deep sadness. She was a movie star, known around the world for her golden hair and dazzling smile. Everyone seemed to love her, to wish they knew her. But behind the bright lights, behind all that fame, there was a different story, one that ended too soon, and in a way that remains a true mystery, even decades later. On an August night in 1962, Marilyn was found dead in her home. The official report said it was likely an overdose, a tragic accident, or perhaps even a deliberate act. But here's the thing, almost immediately, people started asking tough questions. Whispers began to spread, suggesting her death wasn't so simple. Could someone have wanted her gone? Was there a secret she knew, or were powerful people involved in her final moments? The idea that her death was a murder, or at least a big cover-up, quickly took root and has stayed with us. Think about it like this. Have you ever been part of a group project where one key piece of information felt missing, or a part of the story just didn't add up? Maybe someone told you one thing, but your gut said something else entirely. That feeling of not having all the answers, of knowing there might be more to the truth than what's officially shared, is right at the heart of Marilyn's lasting mystery. Her life was very public, but her ending feels deeply private, and forever hidden in the shadows. The world keeps looking back, keeps trying to fit together the pieces of that fateful night, but some puzzles, it seems, might never be fully solved, no matter how hard we try, and that's why it matters. Maybe the mystery itself, the questions that linger, tells us something important about how truly complex and fragile life can be, especially for someone who carried so much fame and, perhaps, so much loneliness. Her story reminds us that even the most famous lives can hold the deepest, unspoken secrets, whispering to us across time. Princess Diana, an accident or not? When we think of Princess Diana, a quiet sadness often comes first, doesn't it? Her story, full of light and then shadowed by an unexpected end, still echoes in our world. That night in Paris, so long ago in 1997, her car crashed in a tunnel. The official report said it was a tragic accident, caused by high-speed paparazzi chases and a driver who had too much to drink. But for many, many years, a different question has floated in the air. Was it really just an accident, or was something else, something hidden, at play? This question isn't just about a car crash. It touches on what we call a conspiracy theory. This means believing that powerful people secretly work together to make something happen, even if the world sees it as an accident or a coincidence. In Diana's case, some believe forces within, the royal family or the government, didn't want her with her boyfriend, Dodi Fayed, or felt she was too outspoken. They think these forces might have planned her death to stop her. Why do minds reach for such a dark, secret idea? Well, when something truly huge and heartbreaking happens, especially to someone loved by millions, it can be hard to accept it as simple bad luck. Our brains often want to find a bigger reason, a hidden purpose, for such a terrible loss. It's like our minds are trying to find control in a moment that feels completely out of control. Imagine your favorite school event gets suddenly cancelled. You might hear whispers, it wasn't just cancelled, someone important made it happen. Even if the official reason is clear, part of us might want to believe the more exciting, secret story. The official story points to clear facts and evidence, but the idea that Princess Diana's death was more than an accident still lives in many minds. This tells us something deep about people, our need to find meaning in tragedy, to understand the unthinkable. When our hearts struggle with random sadness, stories of hidden plans can sometimes offer a strange comfort, even if not true. It reminds us how much we want things to make sense, even when life itself is messy and unpredictable. 9/11, what really fell. Images of that day, September 11, 2001, are etched in our minds. Giant buildings, once standing so proud, collapsed into dust and smoke. But beyond the visible rubble, what else, deeper down, might have fallen that day? The world watched, horrified, as planes struck the World Trade Center. The accepted explanation says intense fires, fueled by jet fuel, weakened the steel, causing collapse. Here's how it works. Strong materials lose strength when heated enough. But for some, the speed and way the towers fell, so straight, felt like more than just fire. They wonder if another force, a hidden cause like explosives, helped them fall so completely. This idea suggests the official story isn't the whole story. Something was hidden from view. It's a very human thing to look for answers when something so big and painful happens. When a tragedy is hard to grasp, our minds search for reasons, sometimes even unbelievable ones. We want to make sense of what feels senseless, to find a hidden pattern. Think about a magic trick. You see something vanish, and your brain immediately tries to figure out the secret. You know there's a trick, even if you can't see it. Some people approach 9/11s with that same feeling, searching for the invisible trick. The pain from that day was immense, a scar on many hearts. And in that deep pain, different questions can grow. This might work for you. Understanding that grief and shock lead people to look for different answers, sometimes simpler, sometimes more complex. It reminds us that truth can be complex. How we deal with immense losses can shape the stories we tell ourselves. Always searching for understanding in a world that often feels too vast to fully grasp. The buildings fell, yes, but perhaps our easy trust in what we see also shifted, leaving us to wonder and reflect. The lost city of Atlantis' echoes. Have you ever thought about places that live only in whispers and old tales? Places we can almost see in our minds, but can never quite touch. The lost city of Atlantis is one of those places, a deep echo from the past that still hums in our imagination today. It's the idea of a grand, beautiful city, an advanced civilization, swallowed by the ocean long, long ago. Most of what we know comes from the writings of an ancient Greek thinker named Plato. He told a story about this powerful island, full of wise people, but they grew too proud, and the gods, in their anger, made the sea claim it in a single, terrible, day and night dot. But here's the thing. Atlantis isn't just about a lost island, it's about a lost idea. It represents a kind of perfect world, a golden age that might have been, now gone forever. Think about a really amazing dream you had. Maybe a place full of light and wonder, where everything felt just right. When you wake up, that place isn't real. It doesn't exist on any map. But the feeling of it, the memory of its beauty and perfection, can stay with you. It feels like something incredibly precious you almost touched, something you wish you could find again. Atlantis is a bit like that dream. People search for it, hope to find its ruins, because they're searching for that lost ideal. They want to believe in a perfect beginning, a place where everything was right before it all went wrong, and that's why it matters. Even if no one ever finds Atlantis' stone walls beneath the waves, the story itself echoes inside us. It makes us think about what we value, what we fear losing, and our deep human desire to imagine worlds both greater and more perfect than our own. It reminds us that sometimes the most powerful places aren't found on a map, but in the quiet, hopeful corners of our own hearts. Ancient aliens and pyramid power. Have you ever looked at something truly amazing, like a massive pyramid or an ancient temple, and wondered, how on earth did they build that? It's a feeling of awe, right? For a long time, some people have felt that same wonder, but then they go a step further. They imagine that maybe, just maybe, humans weren't alone in figuring out these huge projects. Here's the thing. The idea of ancient aliens suggests that beings from other planets visited Earth thousands of years ago. These aliens, the theory goes, weren't just tourists. They supposedly shared advanced knowledge, or even directly helped build incredible structures. Think about the Great Pyramids of Egypt, or the massive stone heads on Easter Island. These are so grand, so precise, that some wonder if ancient humans really had the technology or the brainpower to do it all by themselves. And then there's pyramid power. This idea believes that the pyramid shape itself holds a special kind of energy. People who believe in this think that pyramids can sharpen razor blades, preserve food, or even heal. It's like the shape itself has a secret force. Both of these ideas, ancient aliens and pyramid power, come from a place of deep human curiosity. We look at the past, see something we can't easily explain with what we know now, and our minds start to fill in the gaps with extraordinary possibilities. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to solve a super hard puzzle, one that seems impossible to finish on your own. You might wish someone smarter, or someone with a special hint, would show up and help. That's a bit like how some people feel about ancient mysteries. They look at these old wonders, they can't quite piece together how they were made with simple tools, and so they imagine a super smart helper from the stars. It gives a simple answer to a big question. These beliefs remind us that humans have always looked for answers to the big questions. Where did we come from? What are we capable of? Sometimes the mystery itself is more comforting than a plain answer. It lets our imaginations wander into the vast, beautiful unknown, making us feel connected to something bigger, even if it's just a story we tell ourselves about the stars and the secrets they might hold. Secret societies, real or just a story? Have you ever looked at an old grand building and wondered what secrets might be hidden within its walls? Or imagined hushed meetings taking place in the dark, where only a select few are allowed? That's the feeling secret societies bring up. The very words sound like a whisper, right? Are they real, these hidden groups with their ancient oaths and strange rituals? Or are they just stories, born from our deepest fears and our wildest dreams? Here's the thing, people have always formed groups. Sometimes they were for protection, like old craft guilds, sharing skills and keeping their methods secret from rivals. Sometimes they were for shared ideas, like thinkers meeting quietly to discuss new philosophies that weren't popular yet. These weren't necessarily evil, they were just private, meant only for those on the inside. Think about a club at your school. Maybe it has a special handshake, or a motto only members know. That's a tiny, innocent version of what a secret society could be. It's about belonging, feeling special, having a shared world that others don't see. But when something is hidden, our minds naturally wonder what's inside. We imagine grand plans, powerful people, a hidden order pulling strings behind the scenes. The line between a private group and a grand conspiracy can get blurry in our minds. Sometimes, these societies really did exist, with actual rules and members. They kept things secret to protect themselves, or their knowledge, or their plans, but often, the stories grew bigger than the truth, fueled by fear or fascination. The real question isn't just if they exist, but why we need them to exist in our imaginations. What does it tell us about ourselves, that we imagine these hidden worlds? Maybe it's a quiet way we try to make sense of a world that often feels random and confusing. We look for a pattern, a hidden hand, a reason for everything. And sometimes, the most powerful secret isn't what's hidden away, but the way our own hearts create mysteries, weaving threads of whispers and shadows into elaborate tapestries of belief. It's a quiet reflection on how we seek meaning, even in the shadows. The Mandela effect, rewriting history. Have you ever been completely sure about something, only to discover it was never true? That feeling is at the heart of the Mandela effect. It's when many people, often thousands, share a memory that turns out to be different from what really happened. It's not just one person mistaken. It's a shared, collective memory that isn't accurate. For ages, people have wondered about memory. Is it like a perfect video camera, recording everything exactly? Or is it more like a story we tell ourselves, changing a little each time? The Mandela effect makes us wonder if our memories are as solid as we think. Some even believe it hints at other universes. But here's the thing. Often, it's about how our brains work. Our minds are incredible, but they can also play tricks. We fill in missing details, misremember facts, and sometimes, if enough people misremember, it feels like a collective truth. Think about a famous movie line. Many recall Darth Vader saying, "Luke, I am your father." But watch the movie, and the actual line is, "No, I am your father." It's a small difference, but for many, it feels like a glitch in reality. Or imagine you remember a big tree in your old schoolyard. Years later, you visit, and there's no tree, or it's much smaller. Your brain simply created or altered that memory. This can help you understand how our minds create shared false memories on a bigger scale. So, is history truly being rewritten? Or are our minds powerful and mysterious, playing a quiet game of telephone across a whole generation? The Mandela effect gently reminds us to question what we know for sure. It helps us appreciate the amazing, often tricky, nature of human memory itself. It's a quiet whisper that maybe our shared reality is a little more flexible than we imagine. It makes you think about how we build our understanding of the world, memory by memory. Reptilian rulers among us. Have you ever looked at someone powerful, a leader or a famous person, and felt a strange, quiet wonder, a feeling that there's more to them than meets the eye? This wonder leads us to a truly wild idea. What if the world's most influential people aren't human at all? This is the heart of the reptilian ruler conspiracy. It whispers that certain powerful figures are actually ancient, shape-shifting reptilian beings. They wear human form, move among us, but their true nature is cold and calculating. They secretly guide humanity for their own unseen agenda. This might sound like a far-fetched fantasy, straight out of a movie. Yet, this belief touches upon very old human stories. Think of ancient myths where serpents, dragons, or hidden, wise creatures held immense power. These tales often spoke of secret knowledge and hidden forces. The reptilian ruler theory takes these old ideas and twists them into a modern fear. The fear that true power is not just different from us, but alien to our human understanding. It suggests a secret ancient line of these beings pulling strings that stretch back for centuries. Imagine trying to understand a complex set of rules for a game, or a hidden code in a program. You see the actions, but the deeper logic, the unseen forces guiding everything, remains a mystery. That feeling of knowing there's something more, something hidden and powerful at work, is what this conspiracy taps into. It plays on our natural curiosity, our human need to make sense of things when the world feels big and confusing. Why do these theories hold on? Maybe it's not about actual lizard people in disguise. Perhaps it's a way for us to describe how some power structures are so old, so deeply rooted, they seem almost inhuman. When difficult decisions are made, or when the world moves in ways we can't understand, it can be unsettling to imagine a hidden, non-human force. It makes us reflect on who truly holds power, and what hidden stories might lie beneath the everyday world we see. It's about grappling with things that feel beyond our reach, whether control, a hidden power. Have you ever looked up at a stormy sky, or wished for rain on a dry day, and thought, what if someone could make that happen? It's a powerful thought, isn't it? The idea that behind the swirling clouds, there might be a hidden hand, pulling strings. For a long time, humans have looked at the sky and tried to understand it, even control it. Ancient cultures danced for rain, pleaded with sky gods, or offered gifts, hoping to calm a storm. This deep longing to control something so vast and wild is a very human feeling. We want to feel safe, to predict what comes next. When something huge like the weather affects everything, our food, our homes, it's natural to wonder if someone, somewhere, has found a way to tame it. Here's the thing, we do have tiny ways to influence weather. There's something called cloud seeding. That's when small particles are put into clouds to try and make them rain a little more. But this is very small scale. It's like trying to move a whole ocean with a teacup. It's not about making a hurricane appear or disappear. Think about trying to perfectly plan your whole day. You set alarms, make lists, but then something unexpected happens. A friend calls, a bus is late, or you just feel tired. Life has its own weather, its own currents and winds. You can't totally control. So, the idea of full-scale weather control, making whole regions rain or dry up on command, stays a story, a fear, a dream. It asks us to think about a world where nature isn't wild and free, but a puppet. Maybe the mystery, the raw, untamed power of the weather, holds a special beauty. It reminds us how truly huge the world is, and how small we are within its grand, unpredictable dance. That wildness, that beautiful, terrifying freedom, is perhaps exactly what it's meant to be. The phantom time hypothesis. Imagine, for a moment, that the very flow of time, the long river of history we learn about, has a gap. What if centuries we believe happened, filled with kings and battles and big ideas, were actually just not there? This is the quiet question at the heart of the phantom time hypothesis. Here's the thing. This idea suggests that about 300 years of our past, specifically from the year 614 AD to 911 AD, never actually took place. The claim is that medieval history was either misdated or even made up by powerful people long ago. It's a bold thought, isn't it? One German historian named Heribert Illig brought this idea forward. He looked at old records, old buildings, and how calendar systems changed, and he felt something didn't quite add up. He thought there wasn't enough archaeological evidence or truly independent writings to fill those centuries. He believed that rulers back then might have created a phantom period to make their own reigns seem longer or to link themselves to important historical dates. Think of it like this. Imagine you're putting together a huge, really old puzzle, one that's been passed down for generations. You've got all the pieces, and they seem to fit, making a beautiful picture. But then someone whispers, what if some of these pieces aren't original? What if a whole section was lost long ago, and someone just made new ones to fill the space, and we've all believed they were real ever since? That's a bit like what the phantom time hypothesis proposes for our history. It's not about proving history wrong in an angry way. It's more a gentle nudge, a deep whisper, asking us to reflect on how we trust what's written, how we build our understanding of the world. It reminds us that our story of the past, the one we all share, is woven together by many threads, and sometimes it's worth wondering if every thread is truly where it seems to be. It makes you consider the power of narratives and how easily our view of time can be shaped. QAnon, a digital rabbit hole. Have you ever wondered how stories, even strange ones, spread so fast online? What happens when an online whisper becomes a shout, then a whole world? That's what we see with something called QAnon. Here's the thing. QAnon began with an anonymous person, Q, posting mysterious messages online. These drops hinted at a secret, evil group of powerful people controlling the world, claiming terrible things. They said only insiders knew the truth. Believers connected dots, saw patterns everywhere, convinced they were uncovering a vast, hidden plan. For ages, people have wondered about secret groups or hidden forces, ancient stories told of gods pulling strings, and later, whispers of secret clubs shaped how folks saw the world. QAnon echoes this desire to understand scary things, find simple answers to complex problems. But this version lives on our phones, where information flies at us constantly. Imagine learning a new hobby online. You watch one video, then suggested ones appear. You click, and click again. Each time you're pulled deeper into topics you never planned. Suddenly, hours pass following a digital trail. Sometimes this path leads to great discoveries, but often it pulls you far from what's real, into a maze of information hard to escape. This digital trail, where one strange idea leads to another, is often called a rabbit hole. And that's QAnon's heart. It promises hidden truths, but makes it hard to tell real from made up. It reminds us how powerful a story can be, especially touching our hopes or fears. So, here's a quiet thought. When we wander online, are we truly seeking to understand, or just following breadcrumbs deeper into a confusing maze? Choosing digital paths with care, and holding on to our own clear sense of truth, truly matters. Operation Mockingbird's whispers. Have you ever wondered if the stories we hear, the news we read, are always exactly what they seem? Or if someone might be trying to gently guide our thoughts without us even knowing it? Imagine a time when the world felt very uncertain, a period known as the Cold War. People were scared, and countries mistrusted each other. In those shadows, a theory began to whisper. Operation Mockingbird. This idea suggests that a powerful government agency, the CIA, might have secretly tried to influence what the news media told people, not with big, obvious commands, but with subtle nudges, like a gentle hand guiding a pen. The thought was that if certain ideas or facts were spread, or if others were kept quiet, it could shape how everyone thought about big events, or even about other countries. It's a bit like when you see a commercial on TV that makes a new snack look incredibly cool and delicious, and suddenly you really want it, even if you hadn't thought about it before. You might not realize that every part of that commercial was designed to make you feel a certain way. The theory suggests that some journalists, maybe without even fully knowing it, became part of a larger plan. Their words, their reports, became tiny threads in a much bigger tapestry, woven by someone else's hidden hand. It makes you pause and think, doesn't it? It makes you wonder about the stories that shape our world, the quiet messages we receive every day. How do we know what's real, what's a genuine voice, and what might be a carefully placed whisper? Perhaps the most important thing is to listen carefully, to question gently, and to always seek out many different voices. Because every story has many sides, and sometimes the quietest whispers can be the loudest guides to understanding. The cures they don't want you to know. Have you ever felt really sick and wished for a simple, forgotten remedy? Maybe an old plant, a quiet secret. It's a powerful idea that a true cure already exists, perhaps for a widespread illness. The reason we don't know about it: some believe it's hidden. They think big companies or even governments keep these cures quiet. Why? Because a quick, cheap cure might mean less money for expensive medicines. It could mean less control for powerful groups. This idea often comes from mistrust of authority. This belief isn't new. For ages, people have wondered about special wisdom, whispered remedies. They've also worried about power and secrets. Think of old stories where a king guards vital knowledge, or a powerful figure holds important information. In our world, it's not magic, but mistrust can be strong. It comes from feeling small and helpless when facing huge problems, like a mysterious illness. It's easier to believe in a simple, hidden answer than a complicated truth. Imagine a tough puzzle in school. You work, but it's hard. Then someone whispers, "There's a secret trick the company doesn't want you to know." That feeling is like wanting a secret cure when health problems are confusing or solutions seem difficult. The idea of a simple, hidden answer can feel comforting. It makes sense, especially if you're looking for an easy way out. But here's the thing about real healing and true discovery: it's not a single hidden secret. Instead, it involves many smart people around the world, sharing what they learn, testing ideas carefully. It's like a giant team effort, building knowledge, piece by piece. The wish for a secret cure often comes from a human desire for quick fixes to our fears. It reminds us how much we want to trust. Finding what works means looking openly, not just for hidden secrets, but for shared understanding and honest progress. The Bermuda Triangle's magnetic pull. Have you ever wondered about places on Earth where things just seem to disappear? Places shrouded in whispers and old tales. Here's the thing. For a long time, people have looked at a patch of ocean known as the Bermuda Triangle and felt a strange tug, like an invisible force pulling ships and planes into the unknown. It's not a real magnet, of course, not like the one holding your drawing on the fridge. Instead, it's more like a deep, mysterious pull on our imaginations, a feeling that something unseen is at work. Imagine sailors from centuries ago, far from land, when the ocean was even more vast and terrifying. If a ship vanished without a trace, with no storm or enemy in sight, what could they think? They didn't have radar or satellites. So, they looked for answers in the strange and the supernatural, in forces beyond their understanding. It's like when you're walking in a dense fog, and suddenly the path ahead seems to vanish, or your sense of direction gets totally messed up. You feel disoriented, a little lost, maybe even a little scared. Now, imagine that feeling, but on the vast, dark ocean, where powerful currents twist and the weather can change in a flash. Old compasses might spin wildly, radio signals could cut out, and a tiny human error might lead to a huge disaster. And when something big, like a ship or a plane, disappears, it leaves behind an empty space, a chilling silence that begs for an explanation. Maybe the pull of the Bermuda Triangle isn't a magical force at all. Maybe it's just the raw, unpredictable power of nature, mixed with our deep human need to understand everything. Some mysteries, however, don't have easy answers, and perhaps that's okay. Perhaps they remind us that the world is still full of wonder, and sometimes the most profound wisdom comes from simply gazing into the unknown. The Denver Airport's underground tunnels. Have you ever walked through a huge new building and felt parts were hidden, just out of sight? The Denver International Airport Dia often sparks that feeling. It's a vast place, almost like a small city. For years, stories have swirled about secret tunnels running deep beneath its runways and terminals. People wonder, are these just ordinary service tunnels for luggage or utilities? Or do they hide something much bigger, something mysterious? It was built quickly and is vast. Some point to strange artworks inside, like the huge blue horse statue or murals showing dark futures. They say these are clues, hints of a hidden agenda. They claim the tunnels lead to an underground base. It's easy to feel this way about something so big and unusual. Think how a magician performs a trick. You see the amazing outcome, not the hidden setup. Your mind tries to connect the dots, to guess what's happening. Sometimes, the secret isn't a big conspiracy. It's just clever workings out of sight. Think of a city lighting up at night. It feels magical, but it's really millions of wires and power lines hidden underground. These systems are necessary, but because they are out of sight, they spark imagination. So, are these tunnels part of a vast, dark secret? Or are they simply what any enormous airport needs, a complex network for bags, power, and maintenance? Or maybe just built with some unexpected art? Perhaps the real mystery isn't what's hidden, but why our minds are so drawn to imagine grand, unseen forces. Our world, on the surface, feels ordered, and we long for something more, even if it's just a story we tell ourselves. The tunnels become a quiet whisper of things we don't understand, a space where our curiosities can roam. Was the Apollo 11 hoax filmed? Imagine looking up at the moon, a silent, glowing orb in the night sky. For centuries, people dreamed of reaching it. Then, in 1969, something truly amazing happened. Humans stepped onto its dusty surface. It felt like a giant leap for everyone on Earth. But almost as soon as the cheers died down, a quiet question began to form in some people's minds. Did we really go? Some started to wonder if the whole thing, the moonwalk, the flag waving in what should have been a vacuum, was just a very clever movie. They thought maybe it was all filmed in a secret studio, with actors playing astronauts, and special effects making it look real. People pointed to things that seemed strange in the videos and photos. A flag looking like it was blowing in wind. No stars in the sky. It felt almost too perfect, too unbelievable, for some to accept as true. Here's the thing about our minds. We like to solve puzzles. And sometimes, when something is so big, so incredible, our brains try to find the hidden trick. Think about watching a magic show. The magician makes a coin disappear. Your eyes tell you it's gone, truly gone, vanished into thin air, but your brain knows it's an illusion. It wasn't actually magic. It was just a smart, well-practiced way of making something seem impossible. Our minds look for the setup, the wires, the hidden compartments. So, the idea that the moon landing was a giant, filmed hoax taps into that part of us. It offers a simpler explanation for something truly extraordinary. It's easier for some to believe in a clever film set than in humans actually leaving our planet and walking on another world. But maybe the real wonder isn't in finding a trick, but in seeing the incredible things humans can achieve. It reminds us that sometimes the most astonishing stories are not faked, but real, born from human courage and ingenuity reaching for the stars. And that, in itself, is a beautiful thought. JFK's brain. What happened to it? Have you ever thought about how much one single thing can mean? Not just an object, but a piece of history, something that holds secrets or answers. After President John F. Kennedy was tragically assassinated, his body went through an autopsy. That's when doctors carefully examine a body to understand what happened. But here's the thing that's deeply unsettling. His brain, a key part of that process, later disappeared. It was kept at the National Archives in a special container, yet by 1966, it was simply gone. Think about that for a moment. This wasn't just a part of a body. It was, in a way, the very core of a leader, the place where thoughts, decisions, and dreams were formed. When something like that vanishes, it leaves a huge empty space, not just physically, but in our understanding of history. People wondered, and still wonder, why was it taken? Was there something in it someone didn't want the world to see? Some hidden truth about his death or life? That might change how we remember him. It's a bit like if you had a very old, handwritten diary from someone famous, full of their deepest thoughts, and then, one day, it just wasn't there anymore. You'd feel a pang of loss, wouldn't you? Not just for the object, but for the stories, the truths, the insights that diary held. You'd wonder who took it, and why. Because sometimes, objects become symbols. They hold meaning beyond their physical form. The mystery of JFK's missing brain is more than just a conspiracy theory. It's a quiet reminder of how much we want to understand the past, especially when it's painful or confusing. It shows us that even after so much searching, some questions remain, like faint echoes in history's hallways. And sometimes, the very absence of an answer speaks volumes, leaving us to wonder about the hidden currents beneath the surface of what we think we know. It's a mystery that still quietly whispers, asking us to reflect on what truth really means. The flat earth maps old lies. Have you ever stood on a wide open field, or looked out at the vast ocean, and felt like the world stretched out perfectly flat before you? It's a feeling that can make you wonder, just for a moment, about the shape of everything. For a very long time, people truly believed the Earth was flat, like a dinner plate, maybe with edges where ships could fall off. And that's why this old map, showing a flat Earth, still holds a strange pull for some, even today. Here's the thing. Centuries ago, without tall buildings, airplanes, or images from space, the world looked flat. People had no way to see the curve of our planet. Their maps were drawn from what they could directly observe, from their travels across land and sea. They built entire stories and beliefs around this idea, trying to make sense of the vast, unknown spaces beyond. Their villages. It wasn't about being foolish. It was about trying to understand the world with the tools they had. Think about walking on a basketball. If you only looked down at your feet, and you're a tiny bug, it would feel completely flat, right? You wouldn't notice the curve of the ball unless you stepped back and saw the whole thing. Our everyday experience, just walking around, always feels like a flat surface. But we know, from science and exploration, that our Earth is a sphere, a magnificent blue marble spinning through space. So, this old flat Earth map isn't just a wrong picture. It's a quiet reminder of how easy it is to believe what's right in front of us, without questioning what lies beyond our immediate view. It teaches us about the wonder of discovery, about looking closer, and about how true understanding often comes from letting go of old ideas to embrace bigger, more beautiful truths. It's a journey from seeing a small, flat piece to appreciating the whole, grand, curving world. UFO sightings, just balloons and light. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, quiet and dark, and seen something you just couldn't explain? A flash, a strange light, a shape that moved too fast, too smoothly. For a moment, your breath catches, your mind races, trying to make sense of what your eyes are seeing. We've always done this, haven't we? From ancient times, people have gazed at the stars, inventing stories and myths to explain the strange lights and movements above. Was it a god? A monster? Today, we might wonder if it's something from another world. But here's the thing. Sometimes, what we see isn't quite what it seems. Our brains are amazing, but they also like to fill in the blanks. They try to find patterns, even when there aren't any. Imagine you're driving at night, and in the distance you see a bright light, moving. For a second, it feels alien, mysterious. Then, as you get closer, you realize it's just an airplane. Its landing lights shining through a thin layer of fog, making it look much bigger, much stranger. Or perhaps it's a weather balloon, caught by a certain light, drifting high above the world. Sometimes, simple things look extraordinary. High-altitude balloons, drones, even bright planets or satellites caught in the sun's last rays can appear otherworldly. It's about perspective, and how light dances through our atmosphere. Even military tests, often kept secret for safety reasons, have been mistaken for something more mysterious. The history of UFOs is often a story of human wonder meeting unfamiliar objects. We crave the unknown, the magic beyond our everyday lives, and that's why it matters. This longing to believe in something vast and undiscovered is part of being human. It fuels our curiosity, pushes us to look closer, to ask questions. Sometimes, the most beautiful truth is simpler than we imagined, yet still holds a quiet wonder. The world is full of mysteries, but often, the most ordinary things, seen through a new lens, can feel just as profound. What we choose to believe, what stories we tell ourselves about the unexplained, says a lot about us, doesn't it? About our hopes, and our quiet search for meaning in the vast, silent spaces above. The Titanic's sister ship Swap. Have you ever looked at a very famous story and wondered if there was a different, secret truth hiding underneath? We all know about the Titanic, the huge ship that sank on its first journey. But imagine this quiet idea. What if the ship that went down wasn't the Titanic at all? Some people believe it was actually her sister ship, the Olympic. Here's the thing. The Titanic and the Olympic were almost identical. They were built from the same plans, like true twins. The theory says the Olympic had been damaged in an earlier crash. Instead of costly repairs, the company supposedly swapped the Olympic with the Titanic. They put the Titanic's name on the damaged Olympic. The goal was to sink the Titanic, really, the damaged Olympic, on purpose for insurance money. It's a powerful thought, isn't it? The idea that such a huge disaster could have been a planned trick. Our minds often search for complicated reasons behind terrible accidents. It's hard to just accept that something so huge, so sad, was only bad luck. We want a hidden plan, a secret reason we can point to and understand. Think about two identical water bottles you own. One has a tiny dent, your older one. The other is brand new. What if someone quickly swapped the new one for the slightly dented old one, hoping you wouldn't notice? They look the same from afar. But if that bottle then broke, you might wonder, was this really the new bottle I thought it was? This ship swap story makes us consider how easily our eyes can be fooled. It also shows how much our hearts long for clear answers when sad things happen. It's a gentle thought about what is truly real and what just seems to be. It reminds us how stories can keep us wondering, searching for comfort. Are we trapped in a computer game? Have you ever looked at the world and wondered if it's truly real? Sometimes, things just feel a little strange, don't they? People have wondered about reality for a very long time. Today, some people wonder if our whole universe, everything we see and touch, is actually a giant computer simulation. Imagine it like a video game, but one so incredibly advanced that we are the characters living inside it without knowing. It's a wild thought, but it asks a big question. Is our life just lines of code? This idea, called simulation theory, has deep roots. Long ago, a Greek philosopher named Plato told a story, the allegory of the cave. He described people seeing only shadows, not the real world. That's a bit like us seeing only the screen of our reality. Now, with amazing virtual reality games and powerful computers, the idea feels more possible. If we can build real digital worlds, could something much smarter have built ours? Here's an example. Think about a complex video game you play. The characters inside don't know they're just code, right? They live their digital lives, doing quests and daily routines. What if we are those characters? Our universe might be data. Our laws of physics are the game's rules. We could be part of someone else's huge story or experiment. It's a mind-bending thought, for sure. But here's the thing. Even if our world is a simulation, does it change how we feel? The comfort of a warm blanket, the joy of laughing with friends, the wonder of looking at the stars, these feelings are real to us. This mystery just makes us think harder about being alive. No matter what kind of reality we're in, the moments we share, the connections we make, and the beauty we find, they matter. They are real in our hearts and minds. The Yeti, another wild mystery. Have you ever wondered what else might be hiding in the deepest parts of our world? Places so wild, so untouched, that maybe, just maybe, something truly unknown lives there. This is how the story of the Yeti begins, a creature whispered about for generations in the snowy, towering peaks of the Himalayan mountains. For many, the Yeti is not just a legend, but a real, massive ape-like figure, sometimes called the abominable snowman. People claim to have seen its footprints, caught a glimpse of a furry shadow, or even heard its strange calls echoing through the ice. It's a mystery that makes us lean in closer, hoping for a discovery that would change everything we think we know about nature. Think about it like this. Sometimes, when you're looking at clouds, you might see a dragon or a castle. You know it's just vapor, but for a moment, your imagination makes it real. That's a bit like the Yeti. For hundreds of years, local people, like the Sherpa in Nepal, have told stories of large, powerful beings living high up, guardians of those lonely peaks. These stories grew, perhaps from seeing bears, or maybe just from the deep human need to imagine something untamed and magical in the vast, silent wilderness. The idea of a huge, mysterious creature wandering through untouched snow hints at a world bigger than our own understanding. It's easy to dismiss these stories as just tales. But here's the thing, the Yeti reminds us that there's always more to explore, always something beyond our current grasp. It touches that part of us that yearns for wonder, for the thrill of the unknown, and maybe, in its shadowy form, the Yeti simply mirrors our own desire for magic, a quiet hope that some secrets still linger, deep and profound, waiting patiently for us to believe. Champion of Lake Champlain's secret. Have you ever stood by a vast, quiet lake and felt a shiver, a tiny pull of wonder about what might swim deep down, hidden from our eyes? For generations, people around Lake Champlain, a long, beautiful body of water between New York and Vermont, have shared stories about Champi. This isn't just any fish story. It's about a creature, large and ancient, a living mystery lurking in its cold, dark waters. Think about it. From the first maps by explorers, even way back in the 1600s, there were tales of something unusual in this lake. Indigenous peoples, who lived here long before anyone else, also had their own legends about large, unknown beings in the water. Our human minds seem built to seek wonder, to fill the blank spaces of the unknown with something exciting. When we don't have all the answers, our imaginations get to work. Here's the thing, our brains are amazing at finding patterns, even when there aren't any. It's like when you stare at clouds and suddenly see a dragon or a spaceship, or when you hear a strange creak downstairs at night and your mind instantly pictures something spooky. Instead of just the old house settling, we want to believe in something beyond the everyday, something magical, maybe even a little bit scary. That's what happens with Champi. People see a ripple, a shadow, and their hope for something extraordinary fills in the gaps. They want a secret monster. So maybe Champi isn't a giant swimming reptile. Maybe Champi is more about us. It's the quiet hum of our own curiosity, our deep need for mystery in a world that often tries to explain everything. The secret isn't just in the lake's depths, but in our hearts, in our enduring desire to wonder, to dream, and to believe that some things might just remain beautifully, wonderfully unknown. And that's why these stories keep living, not just in the water, but in us. Cloud seeding, making rain on demand. Have you ever looked up at the big gray clouds and wished for rain? For ages, people have looked to the sky, hoping for water. But what if we could actually help nature make rain when we need it most? This isn't just a dream, it's called cloud seeding. Here's how it works. Scientists fly planes into certain clouds or use special generators. They release tiny particles, often silver iodide. Think of these like invisible magnets for water. A cloud has lots of water, vapor, but sometimes it needs a push to form raindrops big enough to fall. These particles act as seeds. Water molecules in the cloud cling to them and grow. It's like a speck of dust attracting more dust until you see a cluster. Once enough water collects around these seeds, they become heavy raindrops or snowflakes, and down they come. This isn't a new idea. For thousands of years, people have tried to influence weather. From rain dances to rituals, humans have always felt a deep need to connect with nature's forces. Cloud seeding is our modern way of doing that, using science. It's a calm effort to nudge the natural world. Imagine you're trying to get a group project started. Everyone has ideas, but they're just floating around. Then, one person offers a simple starting point. That small suggestion helps all the other ideas connect and take shape, turning into a finished project. The silver iodide is that starting point for the water in the cloud. It's a thought that makes you pause, isn't it? That we can, in a small way, whisper to the clouds. It reminds us how much we still don't know about the vast sky. It shows the delicate balance between our human desires and the wild heart of the planet. It's a quiet wonder, this gentle attempt to bring water to thirsty lands, a hopeful question sent up into the endless blue. Bohemian Grove's summer camp secrets. Have you ever wondered about the hidden places where secrets might bloom? Far from the world we all share. Deep within an ancient forest in California, beneath the towering redwood trees, lies one such place, Bohemian Grove. For over 100 years, this has been the secret summer gathering spot for some of the world's most powerful men, presidents, global leaders, famous artists, and giants of industry, all gather for a very private camp. But here's the thing about such privacy. It sparks our curiosity. What goes on behind those guarded gates, deep among the old trees? For many, the idea is simple. It's a chance for these important men to shed their serious roles. They say they relax, share stories, put on plays, and sing silly songs, like a grand quirky playdate for adults. Imagine your own secret hideout with friends, where you make up rules and share inside jokes. That deep sense of belonging, that shared experience apart from the rest of the world, is a powerful draw. This club began in the late 1800s, meant as a haven for artists to escape city noise. Slowly, powerful figures joined, drawn to the idea of leaving their titles and worries at the entrance. The philosophy is about becoming vulnerable, finding human connection outside the spotlight. They perform rituals, like the cremation of care, a symbolic burning of their worldly concerns, a way to say goodbye to stress for a while. It's a strange thought that even those who shape our world might long for a secluded space, a sacred grove to simply be themselves. It reflects a human need for release, for a time and place where the weight of responsibility can be set down, if only for a few weeks. So, when we hear about Bohemian Grove, it's not just about the mystery. but about the quiet longing in all of us for a hidden corner where we can be free, perhaps even a little wild, away from every watchful eye. It reminds us that every person, no matter how grand, holds a quiet wish for simple, unburdened moments, like children at summer camp, far from the world's gaze. The poisoned pop star's theory. Have you ever stopped to wonder why? Sometimes, a bright young star, someone whose music fills your ears and makes you feel, suddenly fades. The lights go out too soon. There's a quiet idea, a whispered story, that some pop stars, especially those who shine brightest, might not just leave us by chance. This is the poisoned pop stars theory. It suggests powerful people or hidden groups might see these artists as a real threat. Maybe their songs were too strong, their messages too true, making people think differently. So, the theory goes, these stars are quietly, subtly, removed to stop their big influence. This feeling, that powerful voices can be dangerous, isn't new. It's an old story. Think of a king who feared a storyteller whose songs made people question his rules, or artists whose work showed a different way to live. When someone's art or voice can change how millions think, especially young people, it can make those in charge uneasy. They might see that voice as something to be silenced. Consider this. Imagine a very popular student in your school. This student starts a club for a cause they care about, and lots of other students join. Their ideas start to make some old-school rules seem unfair. Most people might think this is great, but what if a few people in charge, who liked the old ways, felt uneasy? They might try to make it harder for that student to speak, or make their ideas less heard. It's about taking away a powerful voice that it makes you think, doesn't it? About the heavy weight of being famous, the power a single voice holds. When a star's light goes out too fast, we often search for a deeper reason, a hidden explanation. Maybe it's just hard to accept that something so brilliant can simply disappear. This theory touches on our human need to find meaning when sadness arrives. It's a quiet reflection on power and our search for answers. Walt Disney, frozen in time. Have you ever heard the strange whispers about Walt Disney, the man who built Disneyland and brought so many stories to life? There's a persistent rumor, a real urban legend, that when he died, he wasn't buried. Instead, the story goes, he was frozen, waiting for a future time when science could wake him up and cure whatever illness he had. It's a wild idea, isn't it? But here's the thing. This rumor touches on a very old human hope. This concept is called cryonics. It's the idea of preserving a body at very low temperatures right after death. The hope is that, someday, medicine will be so advanced it can fix whatever was wrong, even bring someone back to life. Think about it like this. When you put a carton of milk in the freezer, it stops spoiling. You're pressing pause on time, in a way. The idea with cryonics is to do something similar for a person, to pause their life, hoping for a future where technology can press play again. For Walt Disney, it's just a rumor. His family has said he was cremated. But the fact that this story lives on tells us something deep about us. It shows how much we want to beat death, or at least gain more time. It's a dream of outsmarting the limits of life itself, imagining a future where anything is possible. It's like how we wish we could pause a perfect moment in a video game forever, or keep a beautiful summer day from ending. So, while Walt Disney isn't actually frozen in some secret vault, the very idea of it makes us wonder. It reminds us of our own desires to leave a lasting mark, to see what the future holds, and maybe even to avoid saying goodbye. It's a quiet question about hope, about what we value, and about the endless possibilities we imagine for tomorrow, even if tomorrow is far, far away. Tupac Shakur's hidden messages. Have you ever wondered if the words left behind by a person, especially an artist, hold more than one meaning? When we think of Tupac Shakur, a rapper whose voice shaped a generation, many people still search his work for something deeper. Here's the thing. Some believe he left hidden messages, almost like clues, in his songs, poems, and even his public appearances. They wonder if these messages hint at secret truths, or even suggest he might still be alive somewhere. This idea of finding hidden meanings isn't new. For centuries, people have looked for coded messages or prophecies in ancient texts, myths, and even great works of art. Think about old paintings where every object or gesture might have symbolized something important to people long ago. It's like a whisper from the past, inviting us to look closer, to dig beneath the surface of what seems obvious. Sometimes, Artists themselves might put in little inside jokes or double meanings, knowing only a few people will truly get them, and that's why it matters to some. It creates a special connection, a shared secret between the artist and those who listen intently. Imagine finding an old diary you wrote years ago. You read a sentence you scribbled quickly back then, and suddenly, today, it means something completely different to you. It's not that the words changed, but your understanding of them grew, revealing a hidden layer of meaning you didn't see before. That's a bit like how some people feel about Tupac's work. They listen to a song they've heard 100 times, and then a line, a phrase, a particular beat seems to click into place, hinting at something more. So, why do we search for these unseen threads? Perhaps it's because we want to feel closer to a person who left us too soon. Maybe it's our human desire to find order in chaos, to believe that there's a secret plan or a deeper purpose to things. Even if there are no literal hidden messages, the act of searching for them, of listening closely to the echoes of a powerful voice, helps us keep the memory alive. It allows us to continue a conversation long after the speaker has gone quiet. The moon, is it hollow? Have you ever stared up at the moon, that bright, silent orb in the velvet cloak of night, and felt a quiet wonder about what it truly is? It hangs there, distant and beautiful, a silver disk that has watched over us for eons. But for a very long time, some people have imagined something quite surprising about it, that maybe, just maybe, the moon isn't a solid rock all the way through. Some believe it might actually be hollow inside, like a giant, ancient bell, or a massive, empty sphere. This isn't just a random thought. This idea has a curious root in real events. Back in the late 1960s and early 1970s, astronauts on the Apollo missions left behind special tools called seismometers. These devices listened for moonquakes. Here's what happened. After the astronauts left, their lunar landers were sometimes purposefully crashed back onto the moon's surface. When those landers hit, the seismometers recorded something truly unusual. The moon didn't just make a dull thud. It rang for hours, almost like a giant gong, echoing in the stillness of space. It was a strange, long-lasting vibration, unlike what you'd expect from a solid object. And that's why this thought of a hollow moon has lingered, sparking curiosity about secrets hidden beneath its calm, cratered face. Think about a drum. If you tap a solid block of wood, it makes a dull, short sound. But if you tap a drum, which is hollow inside, it vibrates and creates a much louder, deeper, and longer-lasting sound. This isn't exactly how the moon works, but it helps us understand why something hollow might react differently when struck. It's like when you gently knock on a wall in an old house and wonder if there's an empty space behind it, just because of the way the sound carries. This belief isn't about proving science wrong. Instead, it's a beautiful example of the sheer wonder of the unknown. It's about how we, as humans, look at something so familiar, something we see almost every night, and still find ourselves asking the most profound questions about its true nature. The moon continues to hold its mysteries close, reflecting the sun's light back at us, but keeping its own deepest secrets. It reminds us that even in things we think we know well, there can be whispers of secrets, inviting us to keep looking, keep questioning, and keep dreaming about what else might be out there. The universe is vast, full of silent awe, always ready to inspire new thoughts. Black helicopters in the sky. Have you ever looked up at the vast open sky and felt a tiny shiver, a quiet wonder about what might be hidden above the clouds? Not just birds or airplanes, but something more. Watchful. The idea of black helicopters taps into that very feeling. It's not about loud military choppers you see on the news, but silent, dark shapes, believed to fly without a clear reason, often at night, by people who aren't supposed to be there. For some, these black helicopters are symbols of a secret power, a hidden hand guiding events from the shadows. They whisper of a government agency or a powerful group watching, gathering information, maybe even controlling things we don't understand. This feeling that someone is always watching has roots deep in our history. For centuries, people have felt uneasy about unseen forces, whether they were spirits, gods, or powerful rulers making decisions behind closed doors. It's about the natural human fear of losing control, of not knowing who is truly in charge when the world feels unpredictable. Think about walking through a quiet, empty school hallway after everyone else has left. Every creak, every shadow, feels different. Your mind starts to fill in the blanks, imagining things that aren't there, simply because you can't see everything clearly. A harmless sound might suddenly feel like a footstep. The black helicopter is a bit like that unexplained sound in the dark. It's a way for our minds to try and make sense of things we don't fully grasp, especially when we feel a little vulnerable or out of the loop. So, the next time you look up and the sky feels vast and full of secrets, remember that the idea of black helicopters isn't just about a machine. It's a quiet reflection of our human hopes and fears, our longing for truth, our unease with the unknown, and that deep, quiet desire to feel truly safe in a world that often feels bigger than us. It's a soft echo of our search for understanding, even when answers are hard to find. The fluoride in our water. Have you ever poured a glass of water and simply drank it? Most of us do. But what if there's a secret ingredient, added on purpose? For decades, a tiny amount of a mineral called fluoride has been mixed into many city water supplies. The idea is simple. It helps keep our teeth strong, fighting cavities. It's like a shield for our smiles. But here's the thing. When this idea first came around in the mid-1900s, it sparked many questions. People wondered, why add something to our water, which everyone drinks, whether they want it or not? It felt like someone making a decision for our bodies without asking. Some worried it was a mass experiment, or a way to control people. If they can put fluoride in our water, what else might they add? This wasn't just about teeth. It was about trust, and who decides what's best for a whole community. Think of it like this. Imagine your school decides to add a vitamin boost to all the juice in the cafeteria. Most kids might not notice, and it's probably good. But what if some kids already take vitamins, or don't like the taste, or feel they should have a choice? It's a small addition, meant to help everyone, but it touches on something bigger, our freedom to choose what goes into our own bodies. It's not just about if fluoride works, it's about the feeling of not having a say. So, when you next turn on the tap, you might think about more than just thirst. You might think about the invisible choices made for us, and the quiet discussions about health, freedom, and trust that echo through history. It's a small mineral, but it reminds us to stay curious, to ask gentle questions, and to reflect on the hidden ingredients in our world, whether in our water or in our thoughts. It's about being aware, not afraid. The HARP Project's mysterious waves. Have you ever wondered about the invisible signals that fill the air around us? Like radio waves carrying songs or phone calls, but far more powerful, reaching into the very edges of space. There's a place, in Alaska, a research station called HARP. It has a field of tall antennas, reaching up like silent arms. These aren't for listening to music. They send very strong radio waves, like silent shouts, up into a part of Earth's atmosphere called the ionosphere. This is where the air meets space, full of electrically charged particles. For ages, people have dreamed of understanding, even controlling, nature's great forces. We watch storms gather, feel the ground tremble, and a quiet part of us wishes we could steer these mighty energies. The HARP project began as a way to study this special part of the atmosphere, to learn more about radio communication and how it works across long distances. It's like trying to understand how a giant, invisible ocean works. But here's the thing. Because these waves are so powerful, and because the ionosphere is so far away and mysterious, some people started to wonder, could HARP be quietly, secretly, affecting our weather, or even whispering thoughts into minds? It's a bit like feeling the deep rumble of thunder long before you see the lightning. You know something huge is happening, even if you can't grasp it. That feeling, that unseen power, can make us nervous. This fear of unseen power, of something we can't fully understand or control, touches a deep part of us. The story of HARP, and the whispers around it, reminds us that sometimes the biggest mysteries are not just about what a machine can do. They are about our own human wonder, our deep curiosity, and the quiet questions we carry about the vast, powerful world around us, and what lies just beyond our sight. It teaches us about the enduring pull of the unknown. The Philadelphia experiments vanished. What if a huge ship, a real warship, could simply disappear, and then, just as suddenly, reappear somewhere else, hundreds of miles away? This isn't a scene from a sci-fi movie. It's the heart of the legend known as the Philadelphia experiment. During World War II, a rumor spread that the U.S. Navy tried to make the destroyer USS Eldridge invisible, not just to radar, but literally invisible to the human eye. The story goes that powerful generators were switched on, and the ship became blurry, then vanished entirely from its dock in Philadelphia. Some versions of the tale even claim it reappeared briefly in Norfolk, Virginia, before snapping back to Philadelphia. People on board were said to have been terribly affected, some even merging with the ship's metal. It sounds impossible, right? And here's the thing, the Navy says it never happened. They call it a myth, but why does a story like this stick with us? Maybe it's like when you're looking at a cloud, and for a moment it looks exactly like a dragon. You see the dragon, but then a breeze shifts, and it's just a cloud again. Your mind created that image, that brief, real feeling of seeing something incredible. The Philadelphia experiment is a bit like that cloud. Our minds can grasp the idea of something impossible, and because it's so wild, so unsettling, it feels like it could be true. It makes us wonder about the hidden corners of science, about what secrets the universe might hold that we haven't discovered yet. Or maybe it's just a powerful reminder of how easily a captivating story can feel more real than fact, especially when it touches on our deepest fears and wildest dreams about what's possible. It's a quiet whisper about the line between what we know and what we only imagine. Time travel already happened. Have you ever looked at a very old photo, a faded picture of someone long gone? It feels like a strange whisper from another time, a moment paused. This feeling, this bridge across years, makes us wonder about time travel, not just in movies, but if it could be truly real. The idea of stepping into the past, or peeking into the future, has been a human dream for centuries. It's the thought of seeing what was, or glimpsing what will be. Ancient stories tell of heroes who slept for ages, waking to a world changed. Prophets saw distant futures. For ages, thinkers have asked, is time a river always moving forward, or is it more like a map, with all places existing at once, just waiting to be explored? It's not just about building a machine, it's about what time truly is. Some say it's a constant march, never turning back. But what if it's not so simple? Think about listening to a really long song. You hear one note, then the next, but the whole song, from beginning to end, already exists on the recording. You're just hearing it unfold. Our lives can feel a bit like that. Every moment we live, every choice we make, becomes part of the song that is our life. Once a note is played, it's always part of that whole song, even if we move on. It's simply as dot. So when we talk about time travel, maybe it's less about jumping into a machine and more about how we understand time itself. Is it a straight line, or something more fluid? The universe holds big secrets. Maybe the biggest question isn't if time travel happens, but how time truly works. And if every moment we live is etched into existence forever, then, in a quiet way, every past moment is always, already, here. The Great Reset, a new world order. Have you ever felt like things are changing so fast, and maybe someone, somewhere, is pulling all the strings? It's a feeling many people share, a quiet wonder about who truly decides the path our world will take. This feeling often connects to an idea called the Great Reset. Here's the thing, the Great Reset isn't one single idea. For some, it's a plan for global leaders to rebuild the world after big crises, like a pandemic. They see it as a chance to make things fairer, greener, and more connected. But for others, it's a secret plot. They believe powerful people are trying to create a new world order, a future where a small group controls everything, our money, our choices, even our thoughts. It's about a massive change, a shift in power. This isn't a brand new worry. If you look back through history, people have always been curious, or even nervous, about powerful groups. Think about old stories of secret societies meeting behind closed doors, trying to influence kingdoms or nations. Or how sometimes, when a big storm hits, a community might decide it's time to rebuild not just the houses, but also how they live together. They might create new rules for everyone. Imagine your school is doing a big renovation. The hallways are being redone, new classrooms are being built. Most people see it as an upgrade, making things better for everyone. But a few students might whisper, they're moving our lockers around to control where we go, or to make us spend more time in certain areas. They see a hidden agenda in something meant to be helpful. That's a bit like how some people view the Great Reset. It's natural to wonder about the future, to feel a little uneasy when big changes are talked about. Our world is vast and complex, and knowing who makes the big decisions can feel like trying to catch mist in your hands. But maybe, just maybe, understanding these different ideas helps us think more deeply about our own place in the world, and what kind of future we truly wish to build. It makes us think about change, and whether we want to shape it or just be shaped by it. The deep state's quiet hand. Have you ever felt like there are hidden strings pulling things, even if you can't see the hand that holds them? Like some decisions are made by people we never even meet, always there, no matter who's in charge. That's part of the feeling behind what some call the deep state. It's not really about secret meetings in dark rooms. Not always. Instead, think about all the people who work for the government, year after year, no matter who wins an election. These are people like the scientists at a national weather center, the folks who manage national parks, or the specialists who handle how roads are built. They are career civil servants. They know everything about their jobs, the rules, and the long history of how things have been done. The idea of the deep state as a conspiracy suggests that these long-serving people, because they know so much and have been around forever, might actually have more power than the elected leaders. They might quietly guide decisions, sometimes in ways regular people don't notice, or even against what a new president or mayor wants. It's a fear that the system itself, with its old ways and its many permanent workers, runs things more than the public believes. Think about your school for a moment. You have a student council, right? They get elected, they have ideas, and they represent the students. But then you have the teachers who've been there for 20 years, the principal who knows everything about the school's rules, and the main office staff. These people are always there. They keep the school running day to day. They know all the ins and outs. While the student council might change, these staff members are the quiet hand that guides how things really work. They aren't being sneaky. Their experience and long presence just mean they have a huge impact on how things run, often unseen by students. So, the deep state isn't necessarily a villain hiding in the shadows. It's a way of looking at how power truly flows in big, old systems. It reminds us that there are always layers of influence, some very visible, and some that move like quiet currents beneath the surface. Understanding this helps us think more deeply about who truly makes the world go round, and how big organizations truly operate. It makes you wonder about the hidden currents in every system, from a school to a whole country. Hollow Earth, a world inside our own. Have you ever looked at the ground beneath your feet and wondered, truly wondered, what's deep down there? We've learned about the crust we stand on, the gooey mantle, and the superhot core. But what if, for just a moment, we imagined something completely different? What if our Earth isn't a solid ball all the way through? What if, instead, it's actually hollow? This is the core idea behind the hollow Earth theory. It suggests that inside our familiar planet, there could be a whole other world. Picture it, an inner sun casting light on vast hidden landscapes, maybe even oceans and creatures we can't even dream of. This whisper of a hidden world isn't new. It has danced through human minds for centuries. Some ancient myths tell stories of underground kingdoms. Even early thinkers, long ago, played with the idea that our Earth might be a kind of shell. They imagined a magnificent, concealed space, just waiting to be found. And that thought, that possibility, is pretty wild, isn't it? Here's the thing. It's a bit like holding a wrapped gift. You know there's something inside, but you can't see it yet. Your mind starts to guess. Maybe it's exactly what you expect, or maybe it holds a surprising, smaller gift inside the first one. The hollow Earth idea is kind of like that gift within a gift. We can't physically journey to the Earth's center in a way that would prove this theory right or wrong. So, our imaginations naturally take over, painting incredible pictures of what could possibly be. This idea asks us to pause and truly think about the unknown. We often look up at the endless stars and feel so small, right? But this theory turns our wonder inward, asking us to gaze into the very ground beneath our feet. It gently reminds us that even the most familiar things, like the planet we call home, might hold secrets beyond our understanding. It's a beautiful thought, not necessarily because it's true, but because it shows how vast and imaginative the human mind can be. It's about the pure wonder of imagining what other hidden worlds might exist, even if only in the quiet corners of our dreams. The Anunnaki's ancient influence. Have you ever looked at something truly old, like an ancient ruin or a faded photograph, and felt a quiet wonder about its secrets? What if our very first stories, written thousands of years ago on clay, hint at visitors from another world? This brings us to the idea of the Anunnaki. In ancient Mesopotamia, a land we now call Iraq, people carved incredible tales onto clay tablets. These writings speak of powerful beings known as the Anunnaki. Some believe the Anunnaki weren't just gods, but actual beings from another planet. They say these beings shared knowledge with early humans, helping them build cities and understand complex things like stars and numbers. Imagine humans just starting out, then suddenly making huge leaps in what they could do. Some wonder if the Anunnaki were behind that amazing growth. Think of it like your favorite song being inspired by an older, forgotten tune. The new song sounds fresh, but a core idea, a certain feeling, came from that ancient melody, deeply buried in time. That old influence shaped something new, even if most people don't know its full history. It shows how ideas from long ago still quietly shape our world, even when we don't realize it. So, hearing stories about the Anunnaki isn't just about believing or not believing. It's about feeling connected to the deep past, remembering how many mysteries history still holds. It makes us wonder about our beginnings and how vast the universe is. It gently reminds us to keep asking questions, to look at the world with fresh, open eyes, especially at the oldest parts of our human story. The Cheops Pyramid's hidden chambers. Have you ever wondered what secrets a very old, very large building might hold? What if it kept its deepest truths hidden for thousands of years, right beneath our noses? The Great Pyramid of Giza, sometimes called the Cheops Pyramid, has stood for over 4,500 years. For most of that time, we thought we knew its main rooms and passages. But here's what I found. Modern science, using special rays from space, recently discovered huge empty spaces inside it that no one knew about. These aren't just tiny cracks, they are vast, open areas, like long corridors or big rooms sealed off for ages. I imagine the ancient people who built this giant structure, their hands shaping stones under the desert sun. They knew something we didn't. They carefully designed these hidden voids, perhaps for reasons we can only guess at now. Maybe they were meant to lighten the weight, or perhaps they held sacred objects, or even secrets about the pharaohs. It's like they built a puzzle that would take thousands of years to solve, a quiet challenge for the future. This shows us something deep about humans. We want to keep things private, to create mysteries that last. Even in our own lives, we might hide a special drawing or a secret note in a book, tucked away just for us. That quiet knowledge of a secret space, waiting, is a powerful feeling, a link across time. And that's why it matters. This discovery makes you think about how much more there is to learn about our world, even from things we believe we understand fully, even from stones that have watched centuries pass. The pyramid reminds us that history isn't just old facts in a dusty book. It's a living mystery, always waiting for us to look closer, to observe with new eyes. It asks us to use new tools, to listen to the silent whispers of the past. It shows us that, even after countless centuries, the world can still surprise us with its hidden wonders and its quiet wisdom. A gentle reminder that the biggest stories are often found in the quietest, most unexpected places, if only we take the time to look. The New World Order's plan. Have you ever looked at the world, at the way things seem to unfold, and felt a tiny whisper of a question? Who's truly making all the big decisions here? It's a natural feeling, a wonder about the forces at work beyond what we see every day. For centuries, people have imagined secret powers, hidden hands guiding events. This is the heart of what many mean by the New World Order. It's not a physical place, but an idea, the thought that a small, powerful group of people is working quietly in the shadows. They want to shape our world, to unite everything, our governments, our money, even our very thoughts, into one single system, a single leader, a single way for everyone. Think about it like this. Imagine a massive school project, one that involves every class, every grade. And there's this quiet rumor that a secret committee, maybe made up of certain teachers and a few older students, is secretly deciding every single detail, not just for their own part, but for everyone's. They're picking the topics, setting all the rules, even choosing who gets what role, all behind closed doors. You might feel a little uneasy, wondering if your own ideas would ever truly matter, or if your individual effort would just fit into their prearranged plan. This idea of a new world order isn't new at all. Throughout history, whenever big changes happened, or when people felt lost, they looked for patterns, for reasons. They wondered if powerful kings, or wealthy families, or even ancient secret societies were pulling the strings. It's a very human way of trying to make sense of a confusing world. When things feel out of control, it can almost feel comforting to imagine someone is in control, even if that someone is a shadowy, secret group. But here's the thing, believing in a single, secret plan can also make us feel helpless, like our choices don't matter much. It's a reminder that we all want to feel safe, and we want to understand why things are the way they are. And sometimes, our minds create grand stories to fill in the gaps, to give shape to the unknown. So, when you hear about a new world order, maybe it's less about a secret handshake in a dark room, and more about our own deep wish for order, or our fear of losing control in a vast, uncertain world. It makes us ask, what does real power look like, and where do we fit in, with our own small, important light? The protocols of the elders of Zion. Have you ever heard whispers about a secret plan, hidden and powerful, controlling things from the shadows? It's a feeling that can make the world seem much scarier, like there's someone pulling all the strings. The protocols of the elders of Zion is a story that played on that very fear. But here's the thing, it's not a true story at all. Imagine a book, written a long time ago in Russia, that claimed to reveal a terrifying secret. This book said it was the minutes from meetings of a powerful, hidden group of Jewish leaders. It painted a picture of them plotting to take over the world, controlling governments, money, and even our thoughts. The words in this book were chilling, designed to make people afraid and suspicious of Jewish people. But what many learned later, much to their dismay, was that every single word in it was a complete lie. It was made up, a forgery. Think of it like a really mean rumor that someone starts about a group of kids at school. They make up wild stories to turn everyone against them. That's what happened with the protocols. It was created to spread hatred and blame for generations. This fake book was used to hurt people, to justify awful acts of prejudice against Jewish communities around the world. It shows how powerful words can be, even when they're not true, and how easily fear can trick us. And that's why it matters to us today. Because the truth is, there are no secret groups pulling global strings as described in this book. Instead, there are just people, all of us, trying to find our way in a big, complicated world. This story reminds us to look closely at what we hear, to ask questions, and to always choose understanding and kindness over fear. It teaches us that compassion is stronger than any made-up plot. The anti-vaccine movement's fear. Have you ever thought about why some fears cling to us, even when facts show a different truth? For a long time now, there's been a deep unease, a quiet alarm surrounding vaccines. This isn't just about disagreeing with science, it's about a powerful, anxious feeling that something meant to protect us might actually cause harm, especially to the children we cherish. Think for a moment. We all have this strong, natural urge to keep ourselves and everyone we love safe. When new medicines first appeared, it was natural to have questions. But a very specific fear about vaccines grew after certain claims. Even though those claims were later proven false by many scientists, it started small, like a tiny crack in trust. And over time, that crack widened into a deep chasm. Imagine you're by a clear river. Most people drink from it without a second thought. But then, a quiet whisper spreads. What if there's something hidden in this water, something you can't see, that could harm you? Even if trusted experts show the water is safe, that tiny seed of doubt, that quiet whisper of fear, can make you hesitate. You might start looking for any small ripple, and your worried mind could convince you it's proof of danger. It's not that you want to be wrong, you just want to be sure, with all your heart, that what you're choosing for yourself, and for those you love, is truly, deeply safe. So, the anti-vaccine movement is more than just a simple scientific debate. It's a deep reflection on how fear works inside us. It's about the human wish to protect, sometimes twisted by anxious feelings and old whispers that refuse to fade. It shows us how easily worry can grow when we feel we don't have all the answers, or when we are afraid of things we cannot fully see. It reminds us to gently question not just what we are told, but also why our own hearts might resist, and how fear can sometimes lead us away from clarity, even when truth shines brightly. Crisis actors. Is it all a play? Have you ever watched a movie where everything feels so real? but you know it's just actors pretending. It makes you wonder about what's real and what's not. Here's a thought that sometimes floats around. What if, during big, upsetting events, some of the people we see on the news aren't actually victims, but crisis actors? The idea of crisis actors suggests that terrible things like a sad shooting or a disaster are not truly happening. Instead, some believe people are hired to play the parts of victims or grieving family members. It's like a big play designed to make us feel certain emotions or believe certain stories. This thought can make the world feel very confusing, like a grand illusion. But here's the thing. People have always performed. Think about ancient Greek theaters, where actors wore masks to show big feelings and tell powerful stories. Everyone knew it was a performance, a way to explore big ideas about life. The difference is the idea that we don't know it's a performance. Imagine a fire drill at school. Everyone knows it's practice, not a real fire. Students and teachers walk out, pretending it's an emergency. They play a part, but for a good reason, to learn what to do if a real fire happens. The crisis actor theory suggests people are playing parts for a hidden, often unkind reason, tricking us into believing something isn't true. It's natural to have questions, to wonder about the things we see and hear, especially when the world feels overwhelming. But in our quest to understand, it's also important to hold on to what feels true in our hearts. Real pain exists. Real courage exists. Sometimes, the most honest performance is just a person living through something difficult, without any script at all. And that's why it matters to be kind, and to see each other with clear eyes, even when the world feels like a mystery. The Flat Earth Society's belief: imagine, for a moment, a world completely different from the one you've always known. Not a spinning ball floating in endless space, but something flat, like a giant, sprawling disk. This is the core belief of the Flat Earth Society. They believe our planet isn't a globe at all. Instead, they see it as a flat plane, with the North Pole sitting right in its center, the edge of this world. That's Antarctica, not a continent you can explore all the way around, but a massive, towering wall of ice, holding in the oceans and preventing anyone from falling off. This idea might seem strange today, but here's the thing: for a very long time, many ancient cultures believed the Earth was flat. Before telescopes, before satellites, before brave sailors circumnavigated the globe, it simply made sense to what people could see with their own eyes. The horizon always looks flat, doesn't it? For those who hold this belief now, it often comes from a deep distrust of authority and a desire to question everything we're taught. They might argue that pictures from space are fake, or that science itself is part of a big trick. Think about standing on a huge, perfectly flat sports field. From where you are, looking out, it appears completely flat in every direction. You can't see any curve, even though you know the earth beneath your feet is round. The flat earth idea is like saying, because I can't see the curve from here, it must not exist at all. It's a powerful lesson in how our personal view can shape what we believe. So, what does this belief truly tell us? It makes you pause and think about how we come to know what is true. Is it only what our eyes show us directly? Or is it also what careful study, shared knowledge, and incredible voyages reveal over time? This quiet challenge reminds us how vital it is to look at the world with curiosity, to question gently, and to keep learning, always. It's a reminder that even in a world that feels certain, there are still minds reaching for different answers, shaping their own unique truths about our beautiful, mysterious home. NASA's space secrets kept from us. Do you ever look up at the stars at night, or at the moon hanging there, and wonder if there's more to the story than what we're told? Some people certainly do. They believe that NASA, the space agency, has huge secrets it's keeping from us, like proof of alien life, or hidden cities on Mars, or even that the Earth isn't the shape we imagine. This feeling, this idea of hidden truths, it's been around forever. Humans have always looked at the unknown, especially something as vast as space, and tried to fill in the blanks. When we don't have all the answers, our imaginations work overtime. We might wonder if big, powerful groups know things the rest of us don't, and that curiosity can grow into imagining big, dramatic conspiracies, like a secret kept behind a locked door. Think about watching a really good magic show. The magician pulls a rabbit out of an empty hat, right? You know it's a trick. There's a secret way they did it. But for a moment, your mind plays along, thinking, wow, what if that was real magic? That's kind of how these space secrets feel. We see amazing pictures from telescopes, or hear about incredible missions, and our minds want to believe there's an even more surprising, hidden explanation. We crave that extra layer of wonder, maybe even a little bit of rebellion against what's normal. But here's what's really interesting. Maybe the deepest wonder isn't found in what's hidden away, but in what's openly shared and still so vast. The universe is already packed with real, true mysteries and unbelievable beauty that we're only just beginning to understand. There's so much out there to discover, to learn, to marvel at, without needing made-up secrets. And that, in itself, is a truly amazing, endless journey, isn't it? The Roswell incident, an alien crash. What if, in the quiet, dusty expanse of a New Mexico desert, something truly extraordinary fell from the sky? Imagine a warm summer night in 1947. A rancher discovers strange debris scattered across his land, lightweight, tough, unlike anything he'd ever seen. The local newspaper quickly reports a flying disc crash, and then, just as quickly, the official story changes. The military says it was just a weather balloon. But here's the thing, many people didn't believe it. This sudden shift in story planted a seed of doubt, and that seed grew into a wild, sprawling tree of theories. For some, it wasn't just a balloon. It was evidence of something from another world. Think about it. In those days, right after World War II, the world felt both new and scary. There was the Cold War, and a lot of things were kept secret by the government. When the powerful tell us one thing, then another, it makes us wonder what they're truly hiding. It's like when you're walking home at dusk, and you see a strange shape far off in the shadows. Your mind, in that moment, might imagine a monster or a ghost. But as you get closer, you see it's just a twisted tree branch. Yet, for a moment, your imagination took over, filling in the blanks with something much bigger, much scarier, much more exciting. The Roswell incident is a bit like that. Our minds, faced with a sudden mystery and a quickly changing explanation, leaned towards the spectacular dot. So, was it an alien spacecraft? Or was it just a weather balloon, as the government later insisted? Perhaps the truth lies less in what actually crashed that day, and more in what we, as humans, choose to believe when faced with the unknown. It shows us how powerful our imaginations are, and how much we want to find wonder, even in the silence of a desert night. Bigfoot's cousin, the skunk ape. Have you ever walked through a quiet, misty forest, feeling a shiver, as if something unseen was just beyond your sight? What if that feeling wasn't just imagination, but a whisper of something real, yet unknown? In the deep, humid swamps of Florida and the wild corners of other southern states, people tell stories of the skunk ape. It's like Bigfoot's smelly cousin, a large, hairy ape-like being said to roam the wetlands, leaving a powerful, unpleasant odor. That's how it got its name. This isn't just a tall tale. It's a living part of the landscape. For generations, whispers of the skunk ape have been passed down, mixed with the croaks of frogs and the rustle of alligators. Here's the thing, while science hasn't found proof, the idea of such a creature speaks to something deep inside us. Maybe it's our ancient need to believe in wild, untamed places, or perhaps our quiet fear of what lurks beyond our maps and understanding. Think about it like this. When you hear a strange creak in your house at night, your mind might instantly jump to a ghost or monster. This happens even though it's probably just old wood settling. We're wired to look for patterns, to explain the unexplained. The skunk ape helps people explain mysterious tracks, strange sounds, or that feeling of being watched in the vast wilderness. It gives a name to the unknown. So while we may never know if the skunk ape is a real animal or just a powerful legend, the stories themselves are real. They remind us that mysteries still exist in the world, vast pockets of wildness where anything feels possible. That feeling, that sense of wonder, can be just as important as any scientific fact. It teaches us to remain curious, to look a little closer, and to remember the world still holds its secrets, waiting to be wondered about. Nessie, just a big fish story. Have you ever looked at a still, dark lake and wondered what might live deep beneath its surface? What if that stillness held a secret, a creature from a time long past? For generations, whispers have floated across Loch Ness in Scotland. They speak of Nessie, the Loch Ness monster. Pictures, often blurry, show a long neck, a humped back, a shadow in the water. Is it a dinosaur somehow still alive, or something else entirely? People have searched for Nessie for centuries, legends stretch back further, but the modern hunt really took off in the 1930s. Boats with sonar, cameras, hopeful eyes scanning the waves. It's more than just finding an animal. It's about touching something truly ancient, a piece of magic in our modern world. And here's the thing, despite all the looking, no clear, undeniable proof has ever surfaced. Think about when you look at clouds. Sometimes you see a dragon, sometimes a dog. Your brain tries to make sense of blurry shapes, to find something familiar or exciting. This is kind of like what happens with Nessie. Our minds want to see something extraordinary in the ripples and shadows of the lake. We want to believe in something that defies our everyday understanding. It feels good to imagine. So, is Nessie just a big fish story? Maybe, but perhaps the magic isn't in a monster lurking in the depths. Maybe the real magic is in our human longing to believe in wonder, in the unknown. It's about the feeling of possibility, that the world still holds secrets, and that, in itself, can be a beautiful thing, reminding us there's still so much out there to spark our imagination, even if the answers remain hidden or simply exist within the stories we tell. The Great Pyramid's power source. Have you ever looked at something ancient, like the Great Pyramid, and wondered if there was more to it than meets the eye? We often learn it was a pharaoh's tomb, a massive monument to a king. But what if it was something else? What if this incredible structure, built thousands of years ago, was actually a kind of machine, humming with a power we barely understand today? Some people believe the Great Pyramid wasn't just a burial chamber. They think it was designed to collect energy from the earth itself. Imagine a giant, silent power plant, built from millions of stones, tapping into unseen forces. It's a quiet thought that ancient people might have known secrets about our planet's energy fields that we are only just beginning to rediscover with our modern science. Think about how a crystal in an old radio picks up signals from far away, or how your phone can charge wirelessly just by sitting on a pad. You can't see the radio waves or the electricity flowing through the air, but the power is definitely there. It's similar to that idea. The theory suggests the pyramid, with its precise angles and unique materials, could have somehow focused and amplified the Earth's natural vibrations. It wasn't about plugging it into a wall socket. It was about tuning into the planet's own hum, like a giant instrument resonating with the very ground it stood on. This idea makes you pause and think about the people who built it. Were they just skilled stoneworkers, or did they hold a deeper understanding of the world, a wisdom about energy and nature that we've somehow lost along the way? It's a beautiful thought, really, that the world still holds such quiet, powerful mysteries, waiting for us to truly see them. The rich and famous's dark secrets. When we look at the brightest stars, those who seem to have it all, do we wonder about the shadows they cast? It's a quiet curiosity, isn't it? We see their perfect lives on screens, but a part of us wonders if there's a hidden script, a secret world beyond our sight. This isn't about facts, it's about a feeling. The feeling that maybe their great wealth or power hides an untold story, a truth carefully kept. For centuries, people whispered about those at the very top. Think about old kings and powerful families. There was always this idea they knew things others didn't, that they moved in circles hidden from ordinary eyes. This belief isn't new. It taps into an old human fear that someone else is pulling the strings, that life isn't as simple as it seems. It's how our minds explain things that feel too big or unfair. Here's the thing, imagining dark secrets can feel more exciting than the truth. It's like watching a magician. Your mind knows there's a hidden way, a clever secret. You search for hidden strings, the quick hand. The idea of the secret itself becomes fascinating, even if the method is simple. We want to believe in something grander, something deeply hidden, especially for people living lives beyond our reach. And so, these tales of the rich and famous, of shadowy societies or hidden plans, they linger. They remind us that even in the brightest spotlight, there can be deep shadows. But perhaps the biggest secret isn't some grand conspiracy. Perhaps it's just the quiet truth of human nature, a mix of flaws, desires, dreams, and simple mistakes. We look for hidden worlds, yet sometimes the real story is just a reflection of us. The fake moon rock mystery. Have you ever looked at the moon, that silent silver coin, and wondered what it's like to hold a piece of it? After astronauts brought back real moon rocks, the US gave tiny pieces as gifts to countries. These were symbols of peace and human achievement. Imagine holding something so special from so far away. But here's the thing, some of those gifts, precious as they seemed, weren't actually from the moon. Years later, people found a few of these rocks, given with good intentions, were just ordinary Earth rocks. One famous case was a piece given to the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. For years, it sat in a museum, believed to be a priceless lunar fragment. Then, experts checked it. It was petrified wood, old tree turned to stone, found right here, on our planet. It wasn't a trick, just a mix-up, a simple mistake in handling rare samples. Think about it. Maybe you've received a special seashell, told it's from a distant beach. You cherish it. Then, you learn it's a common shell from a local spot. Does it make the giver less kind? No, but it changes how you see the object, doesn't it? This story isn't about blaming. It's about how even amazing journeys can have quiet errors. It reminds us that truth can be delicate, sometimes hidden behind what we wish to believe. It makes us pause and wonder, what else do we believe is true, simply because its story sounds grand? Understanding mistakes helps us understand the world and our place in it. The missing Apollo 11 tapes. Have you ever thought about how we know what's real? How we hold on to big moments in history, moments that truly change everything? Think about July 1969. That was when humans first walked on the moon. It was a giant leap, a moment the whole world watched, holding its breath. People gathered around flickering TV screens, mesmerized by the grainy black and white images from so far away. But here's the thing, the very best original recordings of those moonwalks, the ones captured directly from space, crisp and clear, they vanished. These weren't just any tapes. They were the master recordings, the clearest pictures, the sharpest sounds of Neil Armstrong's famous first step onto another world. Imagine a moment like that, etched in time. Yet NASA, the space agency itself, admitted years later that they couldn't find them. Gone. Just like that. It's a bit like when you have an amazing video of your school's winning goal in the big soccer championship, the one everyone cheered for. But then, the original memory card with that perfect high-quality recording just disappears. You know it happened, because you were there, and so was everyone else. But the clearest, most direct proof, that original record of the excitement, is simply missing. This idea, that something so incredibly important to human history could just vanish. It leaves a quiet kind of wonder, doesn't it? It makes us think about how fragile our records can sometimes be. Even with cameras rolling and millions watching, some precious pieces of history can slip through our fingers, lost to time or simple oversight. It's not really about whether we believe humans walked on the moon or not. Most people truly do. But it's about that deep, almost unsettling feeling when you can't find a special photo of a loved one, or a letter from a distant friend, or a video of something truly important to you. That empty space where certainty should be. It reminds us that even the biggest events, the ones etched into our collective memory, rely on delicate threads of evidence, and sometimes those threads can get lost, leaving behind a subtle echo of what was. So, the missing tapes aren't just some wild conspiracy idea. They're a quiet, powerful reminder of how precious, and sometimes how fleeting, our history can be, held in moments that truly happened, but not always in perfect, tangible record. JFK's cursed car theory. Have you ever looked at an object and felt it held a memory, a feeling, almost like a ghost of what happened around it? That's how some people feel about the car President John F. Kennedy was riding in on that terrible day in Dallas. They say it was cursed. But a car is just metal and glass, it's not magic. Instead, this idea comes from how deeply we react to shocking events, especially when they involve someone we admired. Long ago, people believed powerful events could stick to places or objects. If something terrible happened, that spot might feel heavy or unlucky afterwards. This is our way of trying to understand things too big and painful to accept. Think about your favorite shirt from a great day, maybe a game you won. You might feel a good vibe from it, like it holds that happy feeling. Now, imagine a backpack you had on the worst day of your life, full of sadness or fear. You might not want to touch it again. It reminds you, not because the backpack caused the bad day, but because it was there. The car was there too. It was a silent witness to a moment that changed a nation. For many, it wasn't just a car anymore. It became a symbol of that shattering loss, carrying a country's sorrow. People needed a way to process such an impossible tragedy, and that's why it matters. It reminds us how our minds work. We try to make sense of senseless things. We look for patterns, even in bad luck, sometimes giving power to mere objects. The car felt nothing, but to us, it became a silent, somber monument, holding echoes of a deep sadness that still lingers. The ice wall that holds the oceans. What if the world wasn't quite what we thought? What if, beyond the oceans, a great, frozen wall held everything in? For some, the idea of a flat Earth includes a massive wall of ice, towering high, stretching around the entire disk. This giant ice ring, so the belief goes, stops the oceans from spilling off the edge. It's a powerful image, a hidden boundary, just beyond our sight, keeping everything in its place. Think about old maps. Centuries ago, before ships sailed the whole globe, people often thought the world just ended. Maybe a giant waterfall, or a monster, or just unknown lands. This ice wall idea comes from that same deep human need. It's about wanting to understand boundaries, to put a comforting fence around the vast, scary unknown. It's like drawing a sun in the corner of a child's picture, trying to make sense of the big, open sky. Imagine your school playground. What if you believed a huge, invisible fence went all the way around it, and that fence was the only thing stopping all the balls from rolling off into nothing? You'd see the fence and think it was the end, and that it held everything in. This ice wall, real or just a story, reminds us how our minds try to make sense of huge, complex things. We look for simple answers, even beautiful ones, to explain the universe. It makes us wonder about the edges of our own knowing. What else might we believe, because it feels right, or calms our fear of the unknown? The world is full of wonders, seen and imagined, and each tells us something about ourselves, and our desire to understand. Mars, life, they won't tell us about. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered if we are truly alone? There's Mars, glowing faintly, our red neighbor. For a long time, people have asked, is there life there? Not just tiny germs, but something more. What if we don't hear all the answers? Think about how much we want to know. From the first telescopes, humans saw strange lines on Mars. Their imaginations soared. Were those lines rivers, canals, built by someone? It was a powerful idea. Another world holding stories like ours. Even today, with our rovers and cameras, that feeling stays. We search for water, for signs life could have been, or still is, beneath the red dust. Here's the thing. Sometimes, we only see what's on the surface. Imagine finding one smooth, round stone on a beach. It's just one stone. But what if it was part of a mosaic, a hidden picture buried deeper in the sand? You wouldn't know the whole story from that one stone, would you? It makes you wonder what else is there, just out of sight. That's a bit like Mars. We send probes. They show us rocks, craters, vast silent plains. And then sometimes, something odd shows up, a strange shape, a shadow to neat, or a puzzling signal. The whispers begin. Are they telling us everything? What if discoveries are kept secret because the truth is too big, too mind-bending? Maybe life on Mars isn't just science. Maybe it changes everything we think about ourselves. It leaves us with a quiet wonder, doesn't it? This red planet still holds secrets, and perhaps truths we're just not ready for. Celebrity clone theories. Have you ever looked at a famous person, maybe an actor or a singer you followed for years, and felt like something was different? Perhaps their smile seemed a little off, or their eyes held a new kind of distance. This feeling, this whisper of doubt, is where the idea of celebrity clone theories begins. Here's the thing. Some people believe certain well-known figures aren't the original person anymore. They think the famous individual was replaced by a clone, a perfect copy, made in a lab. It's a strange thought, isn't it? The idea that someone we've watched could vanish, and an exact double would step into their life. This idea of a double isn't new. For centuries, across cultures, stories told of doppelgangers, mysterious figures looking exactly like someone else. These old tales show a deep human worry, the fear of losing your true self, or the unsettling thought of being perfectly copied. Think about your favorite toy. If it gets worn out and you buy an identical new one, it looks perfect. But it's not the original toy that went on your adventures. It's a copy. That's kind of the fear with celebrity clones. People see a change in a star, their looks, behavior, or personality, and wonder if the original was swapped for a new model. So, why do these theories appear? Maybe it's a way to make sense of fast change, especially under fame's spotlight. When someone we admire transforms, it's hard to accept ordinary life or pressures are the cause. These theories might reflect our own longing for things to stay constant, to never truly change. They ask us to consider identity's fragile nature in a world that always seems to be moving. The death of Bruce Lee. Have you ever thought about why we search for hidden answers when something truly shocking happens? When a brilliant light suddenly goes out, what do our hearts reach for? Bruce Lee was more than just a martial artist. He was a force of nature. He moved with a grace and power that seemed unreal, lighting up screens and inspiring millions around the globe. He was so vibrant, so full of life, that his sudden death at just 32 years old felt impossible. It was a silence that screamed. Doctors said it was swelling in his brain, a rare reaction. But for many, that simple explanation felt too small for such a huge loss. How could someone so full of life just vanish? This feeling, this yearning for a deeper cause, opened the door to whispers. Was it a secret curse? Was it a hidden enemy's poison? Did jealous rivals somehow bring him down? These theories started to twist and grow, like shadows lengthening in twilight, giving shape to something shapeless. Here's the thing. Our minds often crave patterns, even when there are none. When a perfect sandcastle is suddenly washed away by a wave, we might look for a reason beyond just the tide. We want to connect the dots, to believe every outcome has a clear cause, especially when it's painful or confusing. Our brains try to make the world feel less chaotic, more controlled, even if it means inventing a hidden plot. Bruce Lee's passing left an ache, an empty space many tried to fill with a secret. His legend, already huge, became woven with threads of mystery. Perhaps it feels safer to imagine a complex reason, a shadowy hand, than to face the truth that life can just end, without warning, without a grand explanation. And so, the quiet echo of those unanswered questions continues, a sign of our human need to find meaning, even in deep silence. Avril Lavigne's Secret Swap. Have you ever looked at someone, maybe a person you haven't seen in a while, and thought, are they really the same person? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Well, here's the thing. For years, some people have believed that about the pop-punk singer Avril Lavigne. The whisper goes that the Avril we see today isn't the original one, but a different person, a lookalike named Melissa. This idea began way back in the early 2000s. Fans noticed small changes. They said, in her face, her voice, or even her handwriting. They thought maybe the pressure of fame became too much, and the original Avril was replaced. This isn't just about a star though. This kind of story touches on a deeper, older fear. In ancient myths, there were tales of changelings, where fairies swapped a human child for one of their own. It's a fear of losing someone you know, and someone else, a stranger, taking their place right before your eyes. So, why would people cling to such a belief? Maybe it's because when famous people change, it feels personal to us. It's like when your favorite band releases new music that sounds totally different, or an actor you love takes on a role that surprises you. You might think, that's not the same person I knew, but people grow, they change, and there are changes too. It's part of life. Here's what I found. A conspiracy like this makes us question what we see and what we believe. It asks us to look closer. Is it just that people mature and their style evolves, or is something truly hidden? It reminds us that our memories of someone can be very strong, and when reality shifts, even a little, it can feel like a betrayal of that memory, and that's why it matters. This story isn't really about Avril Lavigne at all. It's about how we deal with change, especially when it comes to people we admire from afar. It's about the stories we tell ourselves to make sense of a world that is always moving, always transforming. Sometimes, the most comforting story is the one that says, it's not them, it's someone else. But often, it's just life, unfolding. The phoenix lights, not just flares. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, and for a moment, seen something that just didn't quite fit? Something that made your breath catch, even if just for a second. That feeling of quiet wonder, mixed with a tiny bit of confusion, is what thousands of people in Arizona felt on a clear night. March 13, 1997. Across the entire state, from Prescott to Tucson, silent, perfectly formed lights moved across the darkened canvas of the sky. They weren't airplanes. They weren't typical stars. Many described them as a giant, V-shaped formation, gliding without a sound, before some lights vanished and others remained, hovering, unblinking. Here's the thing. When something so unexpected, so grand, appears, our minds instinctively try to make sense of it. We look for patterns, for reasons, for familiar explanations. But sometimes, what we see defies those easy answers. Imagine you're walking along a familiar street, and you glance into a window, seeing a reflection that looks exactly like a ghost. For a split second, only to realize it's just your own reflection at a strange angle. Your brain rushes to figure it out. With the Phoenix Lights, the official story soon came, flares from military training exercises. But for many who witnessed the silent, deliberate movement of those lights, that explanation felt too small, too simple, unable to capture the profound mystery they felt. It's like looking at an old photograph from a time before you were born. The world in it looks familiar, yet different, holding secrets you can't quite grasp. The Phoenix Lights remind us that the world, especially the sky above us, holds so much more than we understand. It invites us to pause, to look up with curious eyes, and to consider that some mysteries might just stay mysteries, stretching our thoughts beyond the everyday, into the quiet, beautiful unknown. The Vatican's hidden library. Have you ever wondered what secrets lie buried, not under the earth, but within the walls of an ancient building? Imagine a place where centuries of human thought, whispers of forgotten history, and untold stories are kept, mostly unseen. This is the feeling many have about the Vatican Apostolic Library. It's not truly hidden like a treasure map leads to it. It's a real place, inside Vatican City. But for a very long time, and even now, much of its vast collection is kept incredibly private. Think of it like a giant super old library, but with secret sections that only a very few people, mostly scholars and high-ranking officials, can ever truly explore. The conspiracy theory whispers that within these deep archives are texts that could rewrite our understanding of everything, forgotten gospels, alien contact, proof of ancient advanced civilizations. It's a powerful idea, isn't it? To think that information exists, crucial information, that most of us will never touch. It's like when you have a secret diary, full of your truest thoughts and experiences. You know what's inside. Maybe your best friend knows too. But imagine if that diary held secrets about everyone you know, stretching back through your family's entire history, and only your great-great-grandparent was allowed to read it. That's a bit like the feeling of the Vatican's archives. It makes you wonder, what stories are being held? What truths are we not allowed to see? This mystery makes us reflect. Is some knowledge too powerful for everyone to handle? Or is keeping secrets, even ancient ones, sometimes more about control than protection? The idea of this hidden knowledge invites us to ponder the nature of truth itself, and who gets to share it. It leaves us with a quiet question. What if the greatest mysteries aren't far away in space, but right here, just beyond a locked door? The Georgia Guidestone's message. Have you ever thought about what kind of message you'd leave behind if it would last for hundreds of years? What would you want the future to know? For a long time, a monument in Georgia seemed to ask that very question. It was called the Georgia Guidestones. Imagine walking into a quiet field and seeing huge, tall pieces of stone, standing like ancient sentinels. These enormous granite slabs were carefully cut and arranged. Carved into them, in 8 different languages, were 10 strange messages. It was like a public secret, right there for everyone to see, but no one truly knew who was behind it. The stones offered a guide for humanity, almost like rules for starting over. They talked about things like keeping humanity under 500 million people and guiding reproduction wisely. It was a message about living in balance with nature and finding a new kind of world peace. So here's the thing. Who put them there? A mysterious person used the name R.C. Christian. No one truly knew who that was, or why they built something so permanent. It was a deep mystery, like a riddle left by a ghost. People wondered if a secret group was trying to control the world, or just one person had a very strong vision for the future. Think about it this way. Imagine your older sibling wrote a really long, complicated set of rules for your family. They said it was for the good of all, but never explained why or what disaster they were preparing for, and then they just disappeared. You'd have these rules carved into the kitchen table, and you'd constantly wonder what they really meant. The Guidestones, standing silently for decades, made people wonder about big ideas. What makes a society truly fair? Who gets to decide what's best for everyone else? It makes you think about how powerful a single message can be, especially when It comes from the shadows, asking us to ponder a future we can only guess at. The reptilian shapeshifters among us. Have you ever looked at someone important, perhaps a leader, and thought, are they truly just like us? It's a quiet thought, one that can linger. For some, this feeling grows into a deep, unsettling belief that among humanity, there are reptilian beings. They walk our streets, they say, wearing human forms, but beneath that skin, they are ancient, cold-blooded creatures. They quietly pull the strings of our world. This isn't a brand new idea. Throughout time, people have told stories of powerful, serpent-like figures. Think of the wise dragons in old Chinese myths, or the snake gods from ancient Central America. These beings often held secret knowledge or had great control. The idea of a hidden, powerful, non-human presence has been with us for ages. It touches on an old, quiet fear. It's the feeling that true power might be somewhere we can't see, cloaked in deep mystery. Here's the thing, it's a bit like looking at a calm lake surface. You see the stillness, but you know there's a whole world of fish and creatures, moving silently beneath. You can't see them, but they are there, living their lives, influencing the water above. This conspiracy suggests our society has a similar hidden layer. It says that under the familiar faces we see every day, there's a secret, ancient family line. They are the true rulers, perhaps, quietly changing events, economies, even our thoughts, for their own strange, unseen purposes. But why do stories like this take hold in our minds? Maybe it's a way for us to make sense of huge, confusing things we don't fully understand. When something big and puzzling happens in the world, it can be strange but comforting to imagine a secret hand at work. A hidden group, even if they are lizard people, gives us an answer. It gives us a place to put our fear or our frustration. It reminds us that sometimes the real mystery isn't what's hidden from us, but what we choose to believe about the shadows we can't quite see. It's about how we try to explain the unknown. The Bermuda Triangle's energy vortex. What if some places on Earth held secrets, like whispers on the wind, always just beyond our sight? The Bermuda Triangle is one of those places. It's a stretch of ocean where, for a long time, stories have been told about ships and planes just disappearing. No trace, no distress calls, just gone. People started to wonder if something unseen was at work there. And so, the idea of an energy vortex came to be. Imagine an invisible force, a swirling kind of power, hidden beneath the waves or high in the air. It's not a visible storm you can track, but a quiet, powerful pull. The idea is that this energy field somehow messes with navigation, or even pulls things into another dimension, like a strong current that changes the rules around it. For a long time humans have told stories about mysterious spots on our planet. Ancient people spoke of places where the veil between worlds felt thin, or where gods and spirits had special power. The idea that certain locations might have their own unique, unseen energy isn't new. It's a very old way we try to understand the world when things don't make sense to us. It helps us feel a little less scared, or a little more curious, when facing the unknown. Think about a powerful magnet. You can't see the lines of force that come from it, right? But you know they're there because the magnet pulls metal toward it. Or think about a strong ocean current that runs deep below the surface. The water on top might look calm, but underneath, there's a powerful river moving, pulling things along. The energy vortex idea is like that, an invisible, mighty force that changes things around it, even if we can't fully see it working. So, here's the thing. The Bermuda Triangle's energy vortex remains a mystery. Maybe it's not a monster or a curse, but just a part of nature we don't fully grasp yet. And sometimes, the most beautiful part of our world is not what we completely understand, but what still holds that feeling of awe, that quiet question mark against the vastness of the sea and sky. It reminds us that there's always more to learn, more to imagine, and that some mysteries are meant to make us simply wonder. The Denver airport's doomsday bunkers. Have you ever looked at a vast place, like a sprawling airport, and wondered what secrets it might hold, hidden just beneath its surface? The Denver International Airport, with its immense size and unusual public art, often makes people think exactly that. For years, whispered tales have spread that this airport isn't just about planes, but hides something far deeper. Some believe massive, secret bunkers lie beneath it, built not for travelers, but to survive a global catastrophe, a true doomsday. event. This idea of hidden safe places, these doomsday bunkers, isn't new. It's a concept that echoes through human history, especially during times of great global worry, like the Cold War. People imagined such secret refuges. It's a very human response, isn't it? When the world feels uncertain, we naturally seek a sense of control, a secure place to escape. These stories, whether true or not, grow from a deep, shared need for safety, a quiet hope that someone, somewhere, has a plan. Even if we don't know the details, that's a bit like when you were younger, building a blanket fort in your living room. That little space felt safe, a hidden world just for you, protecting you from whatever felt big or uncertain outside. The idea of the Denver airport's bunkers taps into that same deep feeling. It's the sense that some structures, some plans, are designed to withstand almost anything, to provide a quiet, hidden strength when the world feels too much to bear. And so, these tales aren't just about concrete or strange symbols. They reflect something quieter, more profound within us all. They speak to our ancient fears of the unknown, of a world that might one day unravel. But perhaps more deeply, they speak to our enduring hope, our quiet longing for refuge, and the way we search for meaning and safety in the vast, sometimes overwhelming world around us. Maybe the true secret isn't actually under the airport at all, but in how our own minds weave these stories to cope, always seeking peace, even in whispers, of the unbelievable. Operation Paperclips, hidden scientists. Have you ever wondered if something good can truly come from something terrible? It's a strange thought, isn't it? After World War II, a time of immense darkness and conflict, the United States faced a puzzling choice. They knew that Nazi Germany, despite its horrific actions, had made incredible leaps in science and technology. Think about rockets that could reach space, or advances in medicine that seemed almost futuristic. So, here's what happened. The US government started something called Operation Paperclip. It was a secret plan to bring over 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians to America. Many of these brilliant minds had worked for Hitler's regime, some even involved in deeply troubling projects. But America needed their knowledge. The world was entering the Cold War, a new kind of silent battle with the Soviet Union, and the race for scientific advantage, especially in space and weapons, felt urgent. Imagine a school where a student is incredibly smart, perhaps the best at science experiments, but they've also done some really mean things. Now, the school needs a breakthrough project to win a big competition, and this student is the only one who truly knows how to get there. Do you work with them? Do you overlook their past for a chance at a win? That's kind of the difficult choice Operation Paperclip presented. The scientists were hidden, not just from the public eye, but their pasts were sometimes kept quiet too. It was a trade-off, using brilliant, but morally stained, minds for national security and progress. And that's why it matters. This chapter of history reminds us that progress isn't always clean or simple. Sometimes, the path to advanced knowledge or power is twisted. It asks us to think about the true cost of innovation and the difficult decisions people in power make. When the stakes are incredibly high, it makes us wonder about the echoes of those choices and what they truly mean for a nation's soul. The Gulf of Tonkin incidents. Lie what if the stories we're told, the big ones that shape history, aren't exactly true? It's a quiet, unsettling thought, isn't it? There's a moment in history, shrouded in mist, called the Gulf of Tonkin incident. It was August of 1964. News spread fast. American ships were attacked in a faraway bay called the Gulf of Tonkin. This news was used to say, we must act, and it pushed our country deeper into a long, difficult war in Vietnam. Here's the quiet whisper from the past. Much of that story, especially the second attack, never really happened. It was a moment built on shaky ground, on claims that later proved to be false or greatly exaggerated. Think about that for a second. A huge decision, leading to so much loss of life and endless pain, sparked by something that wasn't true. It's like a tiny spark, not even real, setting off a huge wildfire across a whole continent. Imagine you hear a rumor about someone, maybe a friend, doing something wrong. You react, you get upset, you maybe even stop talking to them. But then, much later, you find out the rumor wasn't true at all. The damage is done though, isn't it? The friendship is strained, or broken. That feeling, that deep regret for something that could have been avoided, is a tiny glimpse of what a whole nation felt. It's about a trust that was broken, a story That was told to serve a different purpose. The Gulf of Tonkin reminds us of the power of words and the heavy weight of truth. It teaches us to look closer, to question what we hear, even when it comes from powerful places. Because sometimes the shadows of the past hold secrets that, once revealed, can change how we understand everything. It's a quiet lesson, echoing through time. The truth, even when hidden, always shapes our world, and that's why it matters. Pearl Harbor, did they know? Imagine a whisper, just beyond the edge of hearing, a shadow, almost seen. Sometimes, the biggest questions in history aren't about what happened, but what could have been known. Was it truly a surprise? The attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941 pulled America into World War II. It was sudden, devastating, but a quiet, lingering question remains. Did American leaders, high up in government, have warnings they ignored? Or even worse, did they know and let it happen? This isn't just a historical detail. It touches on something deep within us. It's about responsibility, about the terrible burden of leadership. Think about the pressure to protect a nation, to see into the future. It's hard to know what information is truly important until after everything has happened. Hindsight, they say, is 20/20th's vision, but foresight is often blurry, like looking through frosted glass. Here's the thing. Sometimes we get small clues about something big. Maybe a friend is acting quiet, and you don't think much of it until later, when you realize they were really upset. All those little signals, they make sense only once you know the full story. Or imagine watching the weather. You see a few dark clouds, feel a slight breeze. You might not think huge storm coming until the first raindrop hits. The signs were there, but interpreting them correctly, seeing the full picture before it unfolds, that's incredibly difficult. It's like trying to piece together a puzzle when you only have half the pieces, and don't even know what the final picture is supposed to be. So, when we look back at Pearl Harbor, the question, did they know, isn't just seeking blame. It's a quiet reflection on the nature of information, the weight of decisions, and the lonely path of command. It reminds us how fragile certainty can be, how the line between a missed signal and a deliberate choice can blur in the mist of time, and it shows us that even in the clearest moments, there are always shadows, always questions that echo across the years, reminding us of the human struggle to see what's coming. The sinking of the Lusitania. Have you ever wondered if some stories, even big historical ones, have hidden layers? On a spring day in 1915, during World War I, a massive ship named the Lusitania was crossing the Atlantic Ocean. It was a passenger ship filled with people. But then, off the coast of Ireland, a German submarine fired a torpedo, and the Lusitania sank in just 18 minutes. Over 1,000 people died, including many Americans. This event shocked the world and helped pull the United States into the war. The official story is, it was an act of war, a German attack on a civilian ship. But whispers started almost immediately. People questioned if it was truly that simple. The conspiracy theory suggests that British and American leaders knew the Lusitania was carrying secret war supplies, not just passengers. Some even believe they might have let the attack happen, hoping it would make America angry enough to finally enter the fight. Think about it like this. Imagine you're playing a game, and someone tells you they have nothing special in their hand, but then they suddenly win with a powerful card you didn't know they had. It makes you wonder, right? Did they hide it to trick you? In times of war, trust becomes a very fragile thing. Leaders make tough choices, and sometimes those choices stay hidden from the public. This idea that leaders might sacrifice lives for a bigger goal is hard to grasp. It makes us feel uneasy, doesn't it? If that were true, it changes how we see truth itself. The Lusitania remains a reminder that some events leave behind not just sadness, but also a quiet, persistent question. A feeling that there's more to the story, even after all the official reports, and sometimes the hardest truths are the ones we just wonder about. The moon hoax, a movie set. Did humans actually step foot on the moon, or was it all just a really elaborate show? This is a question some people still whisper, even decades after Neil Armstrong's famous first steps. The idea isn't that we didn't try to go, but that the whole thing was faked. They say it was filmed right here on Earth, maybe in a secret studio, like a giant movie set. Imagine a soundstage, huge lights, wires, and cameras, all designed to make us believe something extraordinary happened. This idea popped up during a time of big changes. In the late 1960s, the world was watching closely as the United States and the Soviet Union raced to be the first to reach space, then the moon. It was an amazing time of human effort and brave dreams. But when something so huge, so unbelievable happens, sometimes our minds struggle to fully grasp it. We start to wonder, could it really be true? Or is there something else going on? Here's the thing, our eyes can be easily tricked. Think about how special effects in movies work today. A superhero flies through the sky, a dinosaur roars to life, or a spaceship zooms past distant stars. You know it's not real, but for a moment, it looks incredibly convincing. These amazing visuals make us feel like we're right there, even though it's all carefully planned and created in a studio. So, why would anyone believe a moon landing could be faked like a movie? Maybe it's because it feels safer to think we're being tricked than to imagine the vast, unknown emptiness of space. Or maybe it's a way to feel smart, to see something others don't. It reminds us that our search for truth is not always simple. It shows us that sometimes, even when facing incredible facts, our hearts and minds might look for simpler, more controlled explanations. And that's why it matters. It teaches us to look not just at what we see, but at why we believe what we do. It's a quiet invitation to always keep asking questions, but also to consider the wonder that comes with accepting truly amazing moments. Did we land on Mars too? Have you ever looked at a picture of Mars, all red and dusty, and felt a strange pull? It's amazing to think our robots, our rovers, are up there right now, hundreds of millions of miles away. But if some people question the moon landings, does that same wonder float towards Mars? It's natural for our minds to do this. When we hear about incredible journeys to other planets, places no human has ever touched, a quiet whisper sometimes asks, is this real? Could it all just be a cleverly made movie, or pictures changed to look like another world? For some, the idea that Mars missions are faked, just like they believed the moon landing was, becomes a strong belief. Here's the thing, humans have always been curious, but also wary. Think back in history. When Galileo first said Earth went around the sun, many couldn't believe it. It went against everything they saw. It was a truth too big, too new. Space travel feels just as huge. We can't drive to Mars to see for ourselves. We rely on images and reports sent back. It's like seeing a perfectly edited photo online. Maybe it's a picture of an alien-looking animal, or a landscape that seems impossible. Your first thought might be, wow. But then, a tiny part of your brain might say, is that really real? Or is it just a trick, or a computer program? You want to believe, because it's exciting, but doubt can creep in. With Mars, the doubt comes from the immense distance, the sheer impossibility it feels like. So, when we think about these claims, it's not always about proving someone wrong. Sometimes, it's about understanding why some hearts find it hard to believe in miracles we can't see ourselves. It speaks to our deep human need for certainty, for proof we can touch, in a universe too vast and mysterious to hold. And that's why it matters. The gap between what we see and what we truly believe. The mysterious disappearance of Amelia Earhart. Have you ever thought about how some things just vanish, leaving questions behind? It's like a whisper carried on the wind, a story without an ending. One of the most famous whispers belongs to Amelia Earhart. She was an amazing, brave pilot. In 1937, she set out to fly her plane all the way around the world. It was a dream as big as the sky itself. But then, over the vast, shimmering Pacific Ocean, Amelia and her navigator, Fred Noonan, simply disappeared. One moment, they were flying. The next, silence. The world searched for them, across endless miles of water. Ships sailed, planes flew, looking for any sign. But there was nothing. No wreckage, no distress signal. No clue, just an empty space where a trailblazer and her plane used to be. Here's the thing, we, as humans, really want to know why. Our minds try to connect the dots, especially when the dots are missing. Think about this. Maybe you once had a favorite toy that just disappeared from your room. You looked everywhere, but it was gone. Even years later, you might still wonder, where did that toy actually go? That small, nagging question about something lost is a tiny echo of the bigger mystery that surrounds Amelia. Her vanishing reminds us that not every story gets a clear, tidy ending. Some paths just fade into the unknown. It shows us that even with all our searching, some secrets belong to the sky and the deep ocean. Her legacy isn't just about her flight, it's also about the powerful silence that followed, a silence that still speaks of courage, ambition, and the enduring wonder of what lies just beyond our grasp. It makes us think about how much we don't know, and how sometimes the not knowing can be just as powerful as an answer. Jack the Ripper's true identity. Jack the Ripper's true identity. Have you ever wondered about a story with no ending? A question that hangs in the air, echoing through time, never quite answered. In the foggy gaslit streets of Victorian London, over 100 years ago, a chilling mystery began. Someone committed terrible crimes, leaving fear and confusion. He was given a name by the newspapers, Jack the Ripper. But who was he, really? For generations, people have tried to find out. Detectives then, and curious minds now, have sifted through clues, examining every whisper, every possible suspect. Was he a doctor, a butcher, a royal prince, as some wild stories suggest? The list of names is long, each a theory, a guess, but never a proven truth. And this is the thing. Despite all the effort, despite all the longing for an answer, Jack the Ripper's true identity remains hidden, a ghost in the historical record. It's like looking at a very old, faded photograph where one face is blurred. You can see the setting, you can guess at the people around them, but that one crucial person remains a mystery. We naturally want to fill in the blanks, make the puzzle complete. We craved certainty, especially when something so dark happened. But sometimes, life doesn't give us all the pieces. Sometimes, the not knowing becomes part of the story itself. The lack of a face, a name, behind these horrors means we are left to imagine. It forces us to think how some darkness can simply exist without a clear source, like a shadow without a known object. And maybe, in that quiet uncertainty, we learn something, that not every question has an answer. Sometimes, the mystery itself holds a powerful lesson about human curiosity, fear, and the enduring pull of the unknown. It reminds us some secrets may simply be too deep to ever truly surface. The JFK assassination's grassy knoll. Have you ever felt like a piece of a story was missing? Like a puzzle with one crucial part lost forever? That's how many people feel when they think about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. On a sunny day in Dallas, 1963, a moment of horror unfolded, and in its shadow, a specific place became famous, the grassy knoll. This small, sloped area of grass sat near the route where the president's car drove. The official report said one shooter, firing from a building behind the car. But almost immediately, some people felt a chill, a shiver of doubt. They wondered if another shot, perhaps a fatal one, had come from that very grassy hill, from the grassy knoll. It was a question whispered, then shouted, that has never truly gone away. Here's the thing, when something terrible and world-changing happens, our minds naturally search for answers. We want to understand why, and more importantly, how. If the answers don't quite fit, if they leave gaps, our imaginations can fill those spaces. Think about it like this. If you're watching a magic trick, and the magician explains it, but you still can't quite see how it was done, a part of you will keep wondering. You'll retrace the steps in your mind, looking for the hidden thread. The grassy knoll is that hidden thread for many. It represents the lingering doubt, the feeling that maybe we weren't told the whole truth, or that the truth is simply too complex to fit into one easy answer. It's a silent, green question mark in history. And what it shows us is how deeply humans need to feel like they understand the big moments. Sometimes, the quietest places hold the loudest questions. And some questions, like those from the grassy knoll, echo through time, asking us to keep listening, keep wondering, and keep searching for a sense of peace with the past. The flat Earth's edge. Have you ever pictured standing on the very edge of the world? Imagine looking out, not at a curved horizon, but at a sharp drop-off, where the sea simply tumbles into nothingness. For a long time, people truly believed our Earth was flat. It wasn't just a fun idea. It was how they understood their world. They imagined it like a giant, sprawling plate, with an unknown, terrifying brink. This wasn't because they were silly. Here's the thing. With no satellites or global travel, what did people see? A flat ground beneath their feet, a flat sea stretching out. It made sense to think there was an end to it, a boundary. The unknown beyond that edge was a place of monsters, where ships might simply vanish. It was a time when maps showed dragons in the uncharted waters. This belief wasn't about being wrong. It was about trying to explain a vast, mysterious world with the tools and knowledge they had. Think about watching a ship sail away from shore. If the earth were flat, you'd just see it get smaller and smaller until it was a tiny dot. Then, gone. But what actually happens? The ship's hull disappears first, then its mast, as if it's sinking over a curve. This simple observation, made by sailors centuries ago, chipped away at the flat earth idea. It showed us that what we feel or think we see isn't always the whole truth. So, while we now know our earth is a beautiful, curving sphere, the idea of an edge still holds something for us. It reminds us of a time when the world felt smaller, more bounded by mystery. It teaches us about how human beings wrestle with the unknown. Maybe the real edge isn't a physical place at all, but the boundary of our own understanding, constantly pushing further with curiosity and new discoveries. It's a quiet reminder to keep looking, to keep questioning, and to never stop learning how vast and amazing our real world truly is. Crop circles, alien art or hoax. Imagine waking to find giant, perfect drawings etched into a field of tall crops. Not random lines, but huge, complicated designs, swirling patterns, symbols, even math-like formations. These are crop circles. For decades, these mysterious patterns appeared overnight, mostly in England. No one ever saw them made. The plants are bent, not broken, suggesting a careful hand or force. Who or what did this? Were they messages from beyond, alien artists leaving their mark? Or perhaps from ancient Earth, a forgotten energy stirring? Many believed these were signs, whispering stories from a place we couldn't reach. The idea of something unknown creating such beauty captivated imaginations. But then, another idea spread. What if these were incredible hoaxes? What if super clever humans made these masterpieces in the dark, just to fool the world? Think about street artists making amazing chalk drawings on the sidewalk. They spend hours, pouring skill into something beautiful, knowing rain will wash it away. It's temporary art, often made just for the surprise it causes. Crop circles, in a way, are like that, whether by human hand or something else. They make us marvel at the effort and artistry. So, are crop circles alien art, or just impressive human pranks? Maybe the real magic isn't knowing who made them, but the quiet wonder they inspire. They remind us our world holds mysteries, offers moments of pure awe. They invite us to look closer, to question, and find beauty in the unexplained, even if it's just a whisper in the wind through a field. The biggest mystery might be how we react to such wonder, how we search for meaning in the patterns of our world. The Men in Black's visits. Have you ever seen something so strange, so out of this world, that you wondered if you were the only one? And then, a quiet thought whispers, what if someone else knows you saw it? This is where the Men in Black idea steps in. They are shadowy figures in dark suits, who supposedly show up after someone witnesses something truly unbelievable, especially UFOs. Their job, in these tales, is to keep secrets hidden, to silence witnesses in a quiet, unsettling way, making you question what's real. This idea began to spread during the 1950s and 60s, when many reported seeing unexplainable lights and objects. Faced with the unknown, our minds try to create order, even if it involves a secret group. The Men in Black became a way to explain why something huge, like alien visitors, could be happening without everyone knowing. It's the whisper that big truths are too much for ordinary people, so they are kept locked away. Here's the thing. Imagine you found out a huge, surprising secret about your town, something the grown-ups didn't want anyone to hear. A few days later, two very serious-looking people, maybe dressed exactly alike, approach you. They don't shout or threaten. Instead, they just ask quiet, careful questions, making it clear, without saying it, that your discovery should stay a secret. That quiet pressure, that feeling of being watched and managed, is what these stories tap into. It makes you wonder, what are they protecting so fiercely? These silent visitors aren't just characters in a scary story. They live in that space between what we see and what we're told. They remind us how much we want to understand the world, and how sometimes, when we can't, we create stories about powerful forces pulling the strings. It's a reflection of our fear that some truths are too big, too dangerous to share, and, perhaps, that a quiet, knowing silence can hold more weight than any shouted truth. The cure for cancer, hidden away. Have you ever stared at the night sky, wishing for a star to fall, holding a secret answer to a deep, aching question? What if, in our world, a secret so profound, so life-changing, could silence the darkest fears of many families, The whispers suggest it already exists, a true cure for cancer, not found in labs, but locked away. This idea that a hidden remedy for such widespread suffering is being kept from us stirs something deep inside. It speaks to our greatest fears and most desperate hopes. Imagine the weight of a parent's worry, or the quiet courage of someone fighting bravely. For centuries, people have dreamed of banishing sickness. Ancient healers sought magic plants. Alchemists chased elixirs for eternal life. This longing for a simple, universal fix is as old as humanity. We crave relief. We crave certainty. Here's the thing. Thinking a cure is hidden can feel like a kind of comfort. It suggests there is an answer, even if it's out of reach. It's like knowing a beautiful song exists, but someone has hidden the music player. You can almost hear the melody, but you can't quite play it. When we don't understand something as complex as disease, our minds sometimes seek simpler explanations, even ones involving a secret plot. It's easier to believe in a hidden key than in a long, difficult search through countless tiny locks. But consider the countless scientists, doctors, and nurses who dedicate their lives to this very quest. They are searching, truly searching, piece by fragile piece, building knowledge slowly, like a vast, intricate puzzle. Perhaps the real truth is less about a single, perfect, hidden key, and more about the brave, patient hands that keep turning every stone. The hope, then, isn't in a secret held hostage, but in the shared effort of humanity, reaching for the light together, one small discovery at a time. It's a softer kind of hope, perhaps, but a truer one. Global warming, a hoax. Have you ever paused to truly feel the air around you, to wonder if the seasons whisper different secrets than they used to? A subtle shift in the wind's song. The question of global warming, or whether our Earth is warming in a way that matters, asks us to listen closely. At its heart, it's the idea that our planet is slowly getting warmer, kind of like a room with a heater on low for a very long time, steadily growing warmer without you quite noticing until, suddenly, it's hot. For a long, long time, people simply thought nature was too vast, too powerful, for humans to truly change it. The oceans, the mountains, the endless sky, they seemed eternal. But then, as our world filled with the hum of machines and the trails of smoke from factories and cars, a different kind of whisper began. Scientists, over a century ago, started asking, could what we release into the air be trapping heat, like an invisible blanket wrapping around our world? This idea of a greenhouse effect isn't new. It's about certain gases in the atmosphere working like the glass of a greenhouse, letting sunlight in but keeping some warmth from escaping. They wondered if we were making that blanket thicker, holding in too much heat. Think of it like a very gentle fever for our entire planet. When you have a slight fever, your body temperature rises just a tiny bit, but it changes everything inside you, doesn't it? You feel it. Your body is trying to tell you something important. Some believe our Earth is experiencing a similar, very slow fever, and it's communicating with us through melting ice, through stronger storms, through places that used to be green turning dry, or the sea rising just a little bit higher. It's a question that calls us to look beyond what's obvious, to feel the quiet changes, and to consider our place in the grand story of this world. Is this simply Earth's own ancient dance, or are our footsteps now part of the rhythm? It invites us to wonder, with open hearts, what kind of home we are building, and what legacy we are leaving for the future. Whispers carried on the wind. The Pizzagate scandal's web. Have you ever thought about how a tiny whisper can grow into a deafening shout, especially online? The Pizzagate scandal started with just that, a whisper. A series of online posts suggesting a pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C. was hiding a terrible dark secret. People believed this place was actually a front for something truly awful, connected to powerful politicians. But here's the thing. None of it was true. It was all made up, a complete fantasy. It's strange, isn't it, how our minds sometimes connect dots that aren't really there. For centuries, people have spun tales, believing scary stories without proof. Think about old myths, or even how local gossip can get completely twisted. A rumor might start small, like a tiny seed planted in the ground. And if that seed is fed with fear and distrust, it can grow into a thorny, tangled vine. Here's how. It works in our daily lives. Imagine playing telephone with a group of friends. One person whispers a simple sentence, and by the time it reaches the last person, it's often completely changed. maybe into something wild and untrue. That's a bit like what happened with Pizzagate, but on a much bigger, more public stage. But here's the problem. This wasn't just a game. People truly believed these false claims. Some even acted on them, causing real fear and danger to innocent people. The restaurant and its workers, who had done nothing wrong, were harassed and threatened. It showed how easily a made-up story, especially online, can hurt real lives and real businesses. So, what can we learn from a tangled web like this? Maybe it's about being slow to believe and quick to question. It reminds us that our words, even online, carry weight, and that choosing truth and being kind matters more than ever in a world full of whispers. The Blue Beam Project's illusion. What if the sky itself could lie to us? What if the most amazing sight you ever witnessed wasn't real, but a grand illusion designed to change everything you believe? Here's the thing. Some people imagine a plan called the Blue Beam Project. It's a deep conspiracy theory, suggesting that powerful groups could one day use advanced technology to project giant, realistic images into our atmosphere. They might create the image of a new messiah figure appearing to everyone on Earth, or even stage a fake alien invasion. The goal, they say, would be to trick everyone into a single world government, a new way of thinking, controlled by those who pull the strings. This idea might sound wild, but it taps into something ancient within us. Humans have always looked to the heavens for signs, for comfort, or for fear. Think about the old stories of gods appearing to people, or prophets, seeing visions in the clouds. We yearn for something bigger than ourselves, something to believe in, or we fear powerful forces we can't control. The Blue Beam idea plays on this yearning, this ancient human hope, and twists it into a tool for deception. It's a bit like watching a movie with incredible special effects. You see a huge monster, a spaceship landing, or a magic spell. For a moment, your mind believes it's real, even though you know it's just light and sound. The Blue Beam Project is imagining that same trick, but on a global scale, so convincing that people might forget what's truly real, and that's why it matters. This idea, no matter how unbelievable, makes us ask, how do we know what's true? How do we separate what we see from what's actually happening? It reminds us that our own minds, our own careful thoughts, are our best guides. It tells us to always look closer, to question even the most astonishing sights, and to hold on to our own quiet understanding of the world. Because sometimes, the most powerful illusions are the ones we desperately want to believe. The secret moon bases. Have you ever looked at the moon, hanging silent and bright in the night sky, and wondered what secrets it holds? For centuries, people have gazed at our closest celestial neighbor, imagining all sorts of things hidden on its vast, dusty surface, and sometimes, those imaginings go really far. One idea many still believe is that there are secret bases on the moon, not just craters and rocks, but actual structures. These are thought to be hidden from us, built by advanced civilizations from other planets, or maybe even by powerful governments on Earth, working together in secret. The idea is that these bases are used for unknown reasons, keeping an eye on us or conducting mysterious experiments. This thought really took root around the time humans first started exploring space. When we finally landed on the moon, it felt like a huge step forward, but for some, it also brought up more questions. If we could get there, couldn't others? Or, if we went, did we truly see everything there was to see? People wondered if the space programs, especially during the Cold War when countries were very secretive, might be hiding discoveries. They thought maybe photos were cropped, or what seemed like shadows were actually hidden buildings. It's a bit like when you're exploring a new place, like an old park or a forest path. You see the main trails, the familiar trees, but your mind still imagines hidden pathways, secret clearings, or even mysterious creatures just out of sight. You can't prove they're there, but the thought makes the place feel bigger, more exciting, and full of possibilities. It's that feeling of there being more to something than meets the eye. So when we think about secret moon bases, it's not just about what might be up there, it's also about us. It's about our human desire for the unknown, our wish for the universe to be even more amazing and mysterious than it already is. It tells us we are curious, always wondering what lies just beyond our view, hoping for a hidden truth that might change everything we thought we knew. The moon, with its silent, watchful presence, continues to be a canvas for our deepest wonderings. The sun is a portal theory. Have you ever gazed at the sun? not just seeing its blinding light, but feeling a deep, quiet sense of wonder about what else it might be. Beyond its warmth and energy, some people share a truly wild idea. What if our sun isn't just a big star, but a kind of cosmic doorway, a portal to someplace else? This isn't about science textbooks, but about a feeling, a whisper of a conspiracy theory that suggests our mighty sun, the very center of our solar system, could be a secret passage. Imagine it as a grand, fiery tunnel, perhaps leading to other dimensions, or to distant galaxies far beyond our own, or even to different times we can't quite grasp. The thought is that the burning surface we see is like a shimmering curtain, hiding a path to places we can barely begin to dream of. For thousands of years, long before scientists explained the sun as a nuclear furnace, ancient cultures treated it as sacred. They saw it as a powerful god, a golden chariot pulled across the sky, or a watchful eye connecting our world to the heavens. This ancient way of thinking, where the sun was more than just light, feeds into the portal idea. It speaks to a deep human need to believe there's more to reality than what we can easily see or touch. It's a bit like finding a secret, hidden door in an old, familiar house. You thought you knew every room, but then a new, mysterious path appears, leading to something completely unexpected. This theory, even if it feels like a story, asks us to stretch our minds. It invites us to quietly wonder about the very edges of what we understand, and to imagine the vast, beautiful unknown that lies beyond. It's not about proving facts right or wrong. Instead, it's about the gentle beauty of imagination, about letting our thoughts drift past the familiar. It's about the feeling that even in the most well-known parts of our universe, a grand mystery might still be waiting, just beyond what our eyes can see or our minds can currently explain. A soft, constant hum of possibility in the endless cosmic night. The vanishing bees, more than nature. Have you ever stopped to think about bees? Those tiny buzzing creatures, flitting from flower to flower. What if, one day, whole colonies just vanished? Not just a few, but disappearing without a trace. This isn't a made-up story. It's a real mystery called colony collapse disorder. It's been happening for years. It's like the Earth itself is holding its breath, wondering where they've gone. For thousands of years, humans have looked at bees with quiet wonder. Ancient stories talk about them as symbols of hard work, community, and life itself. They pollinate flowers that become the fruits and vegetables we eat. So, when something so basic, so connected to our world, starts to fade, it makes us pause. We ask ourselves, is this just nature's way, part of the cycle, or is something else at play, something hidden? Here's the thing, imagining a world without bees is like trying to picture your favorite snack without its main ingredient. Think about an apple pie. If you suddenly didn't have apples, it wouldn't be an apple pie anymore, would it? Bees are like those essential apples for so many parts of our planet's food system. Their absence would ripple out, touching everything. This isn't just a science problem. It's a feeling of something precious slipping away. It makes you wonder about the invisible threads that connect us all. Maybe the bees, in their quiet disappearance, are whispering a message, a soft, sad hum about how deeply intertwined we are with every leaf, every bloom, every tiny creature. Their silent vanishing acts as a gentle reminder that when one part of the world feels a tremor, we all might feel it too. Eventually, it's a call to look closer, to listen to the quiet anxieties of the earth, and to remember that our own story is woven into the fabric of everything around us.
The silence of the stars. Are we alone? Look up at the night sky tonight. See the countless stars, like tiny diamonds scattered across black velvet. Doesn't it make you wonder? With so many stars, so many planets, are we truly alone? For a long time, people have asked this. It feels like there should be other voices, other beings out there. It's almost a puzzle, right? Think about it. Since humans first looked up, we've told stories about other worlds. People for centuries have imagined different skies with different lives. This idea that the universe should be bursting with life has been explored for centuries. But then there's the quiet. It's often called the Great Silence. It's like, if the universe is so huge and so old, why haven't we heard from anyone? Why does space feel so empty? Imagine you're walking through a giant, beautiful forest. You see signs of life everywhere. Tall trees, vibrant plants, tiny insects buzzing. You might expect to hear birds singing loudly, or see deer moving through the shadows. But what if it's completely silent? Not a single chirp, not a rustle of leaves from an animal. Just the soft whisper of the wind. That's a bit how it feels when we look into space. Billions of stars, billions of possible planets, and yet, this vast, quiet emptiness. It's a deep quiet. A profound hush that stretches across unimaginable distances. It makes you think. This silence, it doesn't have to be scary. Maybe it means we are unique, a rare song in a silent concert hall. Or perhaps, it just means we haven't listened hard enough, or understood the language. But it makes us look inward too, doesn't it? It makes us value our own tiny blue dot, this living planet, even more. This quiet wonder reminds us that our journey, our thoughts, our very existence, is a beautiful mystery unfolding in the quiet vastness. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough for now.